Real good.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Tuesday night edition of the Live Well. I'm Tony, and we've got me and Alex. We are in here by ourselves tonight. The skeleton crew is going to run this show. We had a last-minute cancellation for our guest for tonight, so we've come up with some great topics, and we've got a good guest coming on at 9 with Chad Hoover. So hopefully around 9 o'clock he's going to drop in to see us, but we're going to make this happen tonight. So let's kick off with our sponsors real quick. We'll start off with Sonar Pros. Guys, if you're looking to get your boat rigged, look for the best in the business, look at Sonar Pros. They specialize in, professional installation, high-quality installation. Give Trent and them a call down at Sonar Pros, 770-530-4505. Next up, we got Lip Sticker Fishing. Take it from me. I know Alex has been. Several of the guys have been with him. Farmer. If you want to catch the megalodons on Lake Lanier, give Kevin a call. Lip Sticker Fishing. Call or text 678-459-8419 or Kevin at lipstickerfishing.com. Also, his Patreon is worth its weight in gold. Absolutely. I know Alex is subscribed to it. I did a little month trial of it. I don't get to fish Lanier as much as you guys do, but I did a month, and I'm like, oh my gosh, he gives up all the juice.
Yeah, he dropped a good one. He was out today. It was pretty good.
Yeah, man.
And I think he's doing one subscriber a month.
Yes.
Out on the boat with him.
That's right. One subscriber a month. So make sure you check him out. Give him a call or text. Next, we've got Evolve Rod Sleeves. Again, personal experience, the best in the business. Evolve Fishing Sleeves. Evolve Rod Sleeves. They're hook resistant. They float. They've got all the protection, on the rod tip. They've got the tether that goes around the reel. I have saved so much time just using Evolve Rod Sleeves. I personally got them all myself, and no more digging them out of those cheap, finger traps that we usually use. Next up, we got the Money Saver Lure Retriever. All right. I know we all do it. We all get hung up in the water, and we're sitting over there trying to get it loose, and I'm guilty of just breaking off because I can't get it back, or I'll throw a cheap lure retriever down there, and next thing you know, I've lost a lure retriever and I've lost the lure. So the lure retriever, the Money Saver, it gets down to the bait like a rocket, knocks it loose, get your stuff back, and it's the best in the business. Next up, we got Bill Payne, Lake Allatoona guys. If you're looking to catch some good fish on Lake Allatoona, give Bill Payne a call. He is a wealth of knowledge. I was really surprised sitting in here with him that one night, first time I got to meet him. He has got so much information. I've used some of his techniques to catch fish myself. Give him a call, 706-280-2305, and get your trip booked with him. Next, we got Brooks Anderson Fishing. Got to see Brooks the other night at Cherry Street. I mean, he's a cool dude, man. He's on them. He catches them. He really specializes in the young tournament anglers, or the young anglers in general. So if you got somebody that you want to get into fishing, you want to go catch some big fish on Lanier, get with Brooks Anderson Fishing. I know he's on Facebook, YouTube. He's always posting some big fish, and they are always on them as well. So make sure you get with him. Last time we talked to him, he was booked up pretty good. So make sure you give him a call. And let's go ahead and we're going to do Fishers of Hope while we're here. Listen, these folks, they exemplify what we're looking for in fishing. When people need help, they're hosting tournaments to get, to raise money, get awareness, things like that. Their mission is to glorify God, be servants of his word, and to bring those in need to peace and hope, and that only he can bring. So literally, I think they had somebody last time, correct me if I'm wrong, they had some kind of, is it brain tumor or cancer or something like that they were trying to, it's just, it's really good to see that, especially in the world of negativity we live in, to have people like that that are out there really making a difference. So y'all make sure you check them out, please. And right behind me with that wide shot, we got Turner Tire. If you're local to the Jasper area, you need wheel, tire, and alignment, make sure you check out Turner Tire. I'm going to try to read this number, 706-253-3339. Make sure you give them a call. They are up here in this area, and you will not be disappointed with them. So, guys, we're going to get started, like I said, with the skeleton crew, so there's not going to be a whole lot of input. Me and Alex will fill in where we can. We'll fill in the blanks and try not to make any dead air. If you guys got any questions, please make sure you put them in the comment section, because we need you guys tonight bad. Got some guys. We've got Farmer in there. Jeremiah Giles, the champ, is here. There you go, buddy. We were just talking about the hammer that he is, and literally from the bank a lot of times, he does some really good fishing out there.
Outfish most of us.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like, this dude's catching them from the bank, man. I mean, it's awesome to see. Doc Holiday, what's going on? Pontoon Jody catfishing. Let's go already. That's what I'm talking about. What's up, T. Toms, Warren Barnes? Hey, buddy, how's it going? Coleman Jones, evening, gents. Caught some fatty spots on Mountain Lake this weekend. They're about to pop with eggs.
I noticed the same thing Saturday night. Every single one of them was fat with eggs.
Yeah, it's been some big fish catching here weather lately. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the Bassmaster Classic, some baits that I have been using to catch some big fish. it's kind of a carryover from what Farmer talked about last week. And it's really been, I guess, during the show last week, he brought up that I was catching on literally the same things he was talking about that night in the show. And I had no idea that he'd be talking about that. So, yeah, Nick B, that Spro banner is nice to see. Yeah, we do support Spro and all they do for the sport and all the great lures they have. So, but, you know, first off, we're going to did anybody get a chance to watch the Bassmaster Classic? I was putting together the bait wall in the garage and had it playing on the TV. And
yeah, you know, I caught some snippets of it here and there.
Yeah, you know, I saw some comments on there, you know, talking about the coverage. I didn't get to watch as much of the live coverage as I wanted to. I was really kind of, every time I clicked on when I was at work, I don't want to tell everybody I was at work doing this, but every time I clicked over when I was at work, it was always a commercial or it was talking with the pros or something like that. And I'm kind of going, I want to see some fishing, you know. So I don't know. I didn't get a chance to watch their total live coverage, but, you know, what I saw was kind of spotty, except till we got the weekend, Saturday, Sunday, when I did go up, you know, stop and watch it. I did get to see some of it, and it was pretty good coverage then. Again, though, you got a lot of pros talking, a lot of, you know, midday breakdown, things like that. But, you know, congratulations to Easton Fothergill for pulling that one out. I don't know if you guys are aware of his history. I mean, I know it was probably said a million times on Bassmaster, but think about a kid that 6 weeks before he wins the college series has emergency brain surgery, goes on to win the college series, which gives him birth into his first classic, if I'm not mistaken. Goes to the Opens, wins 2 in the Opens, automatic berth into the second classic, and then wins, and then gets on the Elite Series as well, and then goes on to win the Bassmaster Classic Championship. Man. Now that's, I mean, in what, matter of 2 years?
Yeah.
In a matter of 2 years, this kid's achieved something that we all dreamed of. You know, we've all dreamed of it. And, you know, I was just really impressed. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm watching and I'm rooting for Lee Livesey at first. Not that I was rooting against him at all, but I'm like, when he was out there with that pink chatterbait, or was it chatterbait? I think it was pink chatterbait, wearing them out on day 2. I think it was day 1. I was pretty impressed with that. It was pretty cool. And it was just really cool to see some of the fish catches that went on in that classic. And I was really impressed with that, you know. And then, you know, I watched the entire thing, and then we get to the end of it. And I started noticing the stands were kind of spotty. I guess this has been brought up with the folks of the amount of people that may or may not have been there on other social media channels. We won't get into that stuff. But so then I'm scrolling through Facebook on the Bassmaster post, and I'm seeing some of the negative comments about live scope. And we're not going to get into the drama of live scope. We're not going to go down that rabbit hole. But as fishermen, that hurt my heart a little bit.
Yeah.
It hurt my heart a little bit to see some of the stuff that was said about the kid, knowing what he went through to get there. And I'm going to tell you, I'm 44 years old, and that joker could outfish me with his little pinky. I'm just going to say it. So
live scope or not.
Live scope or not. and
people don't understand it, man.
I don't want to get into the live scope debate, but these dudes are hammers. They are absolute hammers on the water, and they will get my respect no matter how old I am, no matter what they're using. And I tell people like this: we brought them into the sport, we gave them the technology. And I have a friend on Facebook. He'll remain nameless because I don't know if he wants this credit or not, but he did put out a live video a few weeks back, and I've kind of been repeating this mantra. For what it's worth, we're not getting beat by electronics. We're getting beat by hard work and dedication.
Yep.
Now, wherever they put that hard work and dedication, whether it be in electronics or being on the water more than we can, things like that, that's what we're getting beat by if we're mad about it. I know that's what I get beat by. I don't have the time to get on the water like they do. But let's give these guys some respect. I know that we're better than that as fishermen. We've got, you know, we can do better than that. And I'm not saying our group is doing that. I'm just saying just the comments I've seen. I think Dustin Cannell, I know Dustin Cannell put out a video today, and he went on a little bit of a rant about it. But, you know, that kid went through hell to be where he's at. He went through hell to be where he's at, and he deserves every bit of respect we can get from any of them. Scope is just a tool. These guys are already good. That's what I'm saying. Yep. And I saw somebody say, well, how can you compare him to KVD? Well, it's simple. When KVD won some of his, he was using side scan, which was the newest technology at the time, right?
Yep.
I mean, we've all had technology. Rick Clunn used airplanes to find areas.
Yep.
I mean, that's why they banned them. So again, I'm not going to get into that. We're not going to go down that. We're not going to go down that, but I feel all the social drama is hurting the sport more than live sonar. Dude, I couldn't
100%,
agree more,
Warren.
Warren. That is an absolute great point. And that's why I don't want to get into the drama, but I do want to say, remember, these people they're people. And some of them are young people, very impressionable young people, and they see this stuff on social media. And we owe it to the sport to be better representation of the older generation. I say older because the comments that I saw were coming from older generation, my generation and older. I'm not going, again, not pointing fingers, but we are better than that. And I know we always want to say we're better than that, but we gotta, maybe put some folks in their place when they say that stuff. I don't know,
Yeah.
Social media has given everybody a platform to spout off something they wouldn't say to somebody in public, I think. So Anyway, you got anything else to say about that?
I agree with you.
I don't want to run this off the rails.
I agree with you 100% on all of it, man.
This is Danny's baby, but that was one of those things that, Eastern Fothergill, I went through and made some notes. I didn't even need the notes because it's so memorable, the stuff that he's done, and it was super impressive. And to see some of the other guys, Chris Zaldane was up there. Trey, I mean, that kid was absolutely wearing them out. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, I heard was it him or was it one of them's live sonar was down the first day, I think, or something.
I don't know who it was.
I could have swore I heard that. I may be wrong. Y'all can correct me in the comments. I could be way off. But Coleman,
what's up, cranking and yanking?
Do it now.
Said
cranking and yanking. What's going on, buddy? Yeah, I mean, anyway, like I said, we're not going to get in the live scope drama, active target drama, anything like that. I use it. A lot of guys use it. I'm getting phone calls from guys that are older, significantly older than me, that are now getting it because of the price point has dropped significantly. So it's not a $3,000 or $4,000 expense. It's more of $1,000 expense with Lowrance stuff that just came out. So we're seeing more folks get into it. And I'm honestly saying, once you see it and you don't spend hours, maybe it helps you catch a few more fish. But to win these tournaments, trust me, I use it every tournament. I'm the middle of the pack, dude. Still, I'm still waiting for my first win, even though I've got it. So, all right. My late wife said when she saw her first tournament with 4-face sonar, just because you see them don't mean you can catch them. Doc Holliday, that is absolutely true.
100%.
It's so true. It is so true.
If you want to know what it's like to fish forward-facing sonar, go fish some dock lights when they're not biting.
Yeah, exactly. Dude, that's a perfect point. I fished dock lights and watched 4-pounders swim past everything I threw at them. And it's the same. I mean, it's like, you can't, just because the light's on don't mean anybody's home or they're biting. That's for sure. So, anyway, like I said, we're not going to beat that. We're not going to beat that horse to death. But I'm super proud of Easton Fothergill. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dave Aldridge actually called that win. I'm almost 100%. I didn't go back and check the shows, but I'm almost 100% that he called that win. So
I think you're right.
I think he called it.
I think you're right.
So,
and I think the attendance. I think everybody was at the expo.
Yeah.
And it was spotty.
Yeah.
I noticed sometimes it looked like there was more people in the stands and sometimes it looked like there was nobody.
Yeah. My wife she'd come out there and watch while I was, talk to me while I was watching it. And we were talking about the live well, the fish being transported that long or whatever. I can't remember what the conversation was, but I told her, I said, look, they're in traffic driving from the lake to the stadium. I don't know how far of a drive it was, but I think maybe the second day, they had an accident on the freeway that was delaying everything. I mean, you're thinking these folks, if they've been there from blast off till the end of the day, they're there 15, 16 hours, whatever it works out to be in total. I mean, it's an unreal amount of time. Cause I think I was getting done watching it almost 9 o'clock at night, 8 or 9 o'clock at night when they were getting done with weigh-ins those first couple of days. Obviously the last day was still a little bit shorter because less competitors in the field, but it still took a while. So,
right.
And it's some of it's hard to watch, when they do some of the other stuff. And, there's another thing, Bassmaster, we need to talk about. And that's the coverage, the pre weigh-in coverage. It's like you hear them talking and then there's a mute. And you hear them talking and there's a mute. It's almost, I'm thinking the whole time my internet's going down.
And we need to talk to them about their the Bassmaster Kayak series coverage too, because there was zero sound on that whatsoever.
Really?
And
then I didn't get to tune in for that. I think I was gone away from the house meeting with a roofer at the time, so I didn't get to see any of that part of it. But I did get the last part. Like I said, they'd already kind of spoke about it though.
And that was a field too, man. Yeah, it was a field.
Where'd they fish that one at?
I think that was Lake Fork.
They
fished that one over at Lake Fork.
Great coverage on that.
And the entire top 10 was over 100 inches.
Wow.
So that's 20-pound over 20 pounds, pretty much.
It's Lake Fork, so yeah. That was how many competitors they have in that Bassmaster Kayak series?
Oh gosh, probably 140, 160, something like that. Crazy. I'm sure somebody that might be watching could.
Do you remember who won it? Because I'm gonna be honest,
I do. I remember who won it, but I don't know his name.
Okay. Well,
he fishes for Old Town.
I got you. Well, I don't want to come across as I heard Dave is also a really smart guy. He also had Trey and Lee coming from Dave Aldridge himself. But I'm pretty sure, Dave, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, I think you said you called that one. So the stadium at Bass was vacant from what I could see. Yeah, there was a lot of empty seats there. People said the same thing about 2D, down scan, and side scan. They were just wasn't social media to blow it. That's true. That's true. T-Toms, I work in live production. It's worth saying that the lighting wasn't really lighting up the stands. That's true too. Yeah, I noticed it was, they focused on a lot of stuff, and I'm not professional when it comes to that. I'm learning the lighting. Mute thing was no audience mics, which affects people's perspective on how many people were in the room. Yeah. Blakely Bassin, we need to get on, Tony. Okay. But anyway, all right. So we're going to move from that. We're going to move into so it's kind of I think I said it earlier, it's kind of a transition from what Farmer talked about last week. Last Thursday, I was on the water doing a live, TikTok live, and I was using certain baits. And I got home, and obviously I'm watching this show like I always do. And I hear Farmer kind of shout out what I was doing. It was very similar in comparison to what he was talking about on the show that night. We're going to make a condensed version because we're hoping at 9 o'clock we're going to have the man on here, Mr. Chad Hoover, which I can't wait to speak with and get some information from him as well. But anyway, we're going to go through some of the baits that we use, and we're going to go through any questions you guys have of that. I think I saw a question up towards the top asking about something about swim baits or something along the lines. If you don't get your question answered, please put it down in the comments again. It's just 2 of us tonight, so we only got 4 eyes watching the comments for sure. But anyway, I was doing a TikTok live, and I'm using a certain bait, and I'm catching fish. So the first fish I catch was a 645 on live. Completely underestimated where I was going to catch it at. I was trying to just get started. I mean, I probably made the 4th cast in, caught this fish, and it's on a bladed jig. So we talk about bladed jigs on here all the time. I am guilty this time. In fact, it was exactly to the day that I caught this fish. No joke. It come up in my feed saying that I had put out a video talking about I had finally gotten confidence in a bladed jig. The video before that, or not before that, but a video before that said that it was the most overrated bait in fishing because all you hear was jackhammer, jackhammer, jackhammer. So I have since had to eat crow. The bladed jig a week or so, I think it was a week ago, was absolutely killing them. And just that presentation alone. So if you'll notice, this is a Brazalo's Custom Lures strutter. It's as close to direct connect as you can get. I'm not sponsored. I buy every one of these, anything like that. But this is the one I use. Jackhammers as well. And I've said on my lives, I'll say these things. The price point on these things is absolutely amazing. $6.99. That's their normal price. They're tied. They're wire tied lures. It's got red wire on that white one there. The blade is changeable. When you order it, you can order it with any color blade. I want to think it's gold, silver, and black, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's black. I can't remember for sure if it's black.
Yeah, he's got black.
Is it black? Okay, it is. Gold, silver, black, different skirt patterns. And then on the back of it, I've got the MRE, or the Tactical Fishing Company, MRE.
Yes, sir.
And
the trailer right there, that is the trailer.
I bought 1 pack at the Noe Expo.
Still
I'm
using
so sick. Because not that they're out of stock, but I decided in March I was going to go on a bait buying diet. So I'm not buying any baits this month. And I have went through, they're soft. So I broke the line on one of the strutters, and I've hit some seawalls and busted some stuff up and tore some trailers up. Fish have tore. This one's a rethread. I had it on a jig, so I had to pull it off the jig and put it on the strutter, right? And so they actually hold up really well. But I caught a 645 on that one last Thursday before the show started. Like I said, 4th cast in.
Which color MRE is that?
That is Goby.
Okay.
That is Goby. And the reason, so his Goby, it's got the purple flake in it a little bit, but it matches almost a Tennessee shad color, kind of along those lines. It's got that brownish green color on top, a little bit of clear white on the bottom. It just really has and like I said, I know this is not threaded on there the best. It's like I said, it's a rethread and it's already coming apart. So, and funny story, this one right here was rescued by Farmer on Sunday. This is the one I lost in a tree on live. I'd caught a 4.6 and made an overhand cast like an idiot. And yeah, I got to get all the ridicule for that one on live. That was great. Even my wife was in there. She's like, what do you tell me about doing that all the time? Like, yeah, I know. As soon as I made the cast, I went, you idiot. So he rescued it on Sunday for me. He actually got, in fact, I went there like twice, but after that and saw it sitting in the tree, I'm going, I should bring the pole saw or something, but it happens. But so that's kind of my first go-to bait for catching big fish this time of the year. This pre-spawn fish are feeding up. They're getting fat. They're starting to really just hammer on stuff like this. Now, I will say this. A week ago, they were biting on this. And then I fished again on Sunday, I believe it was Sunday week. I started noticing the bite dropping off a little bit. It wasn't as good of a bite on the moving stuff where I'm fishing at. A little bit dirtier water. They wouldn't do anything. So I changed to a different bait. So we're gonna go through some other baits real quick, but some other big fish baits this time of the year. And I'll say this, for those that are having trouble skipping, a dang chatterbait of some sort will get you into that skipping mode really quickly. It'll help you get there a lot faster. At least I feel like it does for some reason. And you can put a Z-crawl on there or a fluke on there. I know the Z-crawl rises a little bit too much for me, but it'll help you get better at skipping as well. Next big fish bait that I like to use this time of the year, and I know Farmer talked about all this, and that's a jig. Any kind of jig, ball head.
That's any time of year right there.
And
that's
it
just
is.
A
I mean,
big
it's one of those
bait.
staple, lures for big bass fishing. To me, it's always a jig. This is one that Danny had laying around because obviously all the stuff I grabbed this morning, I didn't grab a jig. I'm like, that's kind of dumb, So Danny had this one laying around. It's got the green pumpkin with the purple strands.
Oh, okay. That's the
Farmer special. Is it the
no?
Farmer?
That was Ryan's.
That's Ryan's. Okay.
Chef special,
Chef
or
special.
they call it Lanier Smoke. Also,
okay, I got you. But where I'm at,
it crushes them, dude.
I will throw this.
Green pumpkin purple just works.
I'm we talk about buying baits and things like that, and I specifically, when I first got back into fishing, I would buy just a slew of different things. I've got jigs of all colors. I've got skirts of all colors, and now I literally mainly use black and blue and green pumpkin and peanut butter and jelly. That's my 3 go-to. And the peanut butter and jelly is kind of a new ad this last year for me because I watched a guy literally wear me out from the front of the boat, and I'm throwing the black and blue, and he's throwing the peanut butter jelly, and it's wintertime over at Wedowee. So anyway, so jig's a great one. Skipping docks, and I know there's something Farmer talked about in his video.
Cheat code, that's what he calls
it.
Cheat code.
Yeah, there you go. Skipping docks. Sorry, I was reading one of Farmer's comments. I'm trying to read comments and not paying attention to what I'm doing. Sorry about that, folks. But skipping docks, catching big fish. The jig. I got into jig fishing. I fished some Tuesday nighters years ago with my buddy Jeff when I worked for Paulding County, and a buddy of ours said, "Hey, you need to go over here, this area, and skip jigs around these docks." So we go there one night, and my buddy Jeff told me, "Hey, pick up some jigs. We were using chunk trailers then, and I caught a nice largemouth over there off of one of the docks near one of the boat ramps, and we actually waded in that night. I want to say we might have either won some money or we had big fish for the night. I think he had big fish was a spot though, but it was like a 3.5 pound largemouth. It was pretty cool. So that got me addicted to jig fishing. When I got back into fishing a 3 years ago, first thing I went and did was picked up jigs and started going to the lake, near the house, West Point, things like that, and throwing a jig around. And it's just one of those big fish baits, and anybody can tell you that it will catch big fish. I know I see a lot of guys in the comments sometimes talking about not being able to catch fish on a jig. It's no different than throwing a Texas rig or a shaky head. It's the same principle. You throw it in the same areas. But anyway, it's a great bass fishing, big bass catcher too.
Yeah, it is. It's one of the most consistent ways to catch big fish, in my opinion.
It is. And like you said, it's all year long. I mean, I keep one tight. I have a jig rod that never, I won't say never, because I did cut it off for another bait the other day because I had messed up one of my reels. Anyway, it's one of those things that stays on the deck all year long. And again, I know we're going over a lot of what Farmer said the other day, and it's just kind of to prove his point that this is what I was using literally the same day he did the show. This is what I was using to catch fish, and we didn't pre-plan anything. And then it's kind of stayed this way for the last week or so. The same bites. Now, there's been a little bit of a change, like I said, with the chatterbait. The chatterbait's backed off a little bit. They're not hitting the moving stuff, at least on my end of town, as well for some reason. And I don't know if it was the change in temperature. Alex, have you fished a couple of nights? Have you noticed anything different with the weather temperature and the fish bite difference in the last week or so? Because I know
I haven't fished much during the day. I've just been going out at night.
I got you.
And I mean, it hasn't been that cold, but they've been active.
It's just weird because, like I said, the first day or two when Farmer did that show last Thursday, I believe it was, they were on dock poles, they were biting. I mean, literally right off the dock poles, and then all of a sudden they just stopped. They went away from the docks for me. You know, I think the only thing I could figure is the difference was the temperature out, the air temperature, but the water temperature was still staying the same. So I don't know. Maybe it was something different like that. Get says 89 degrees in Cali today. Hank said he caught a 6-pound largemouth skipping docks this Sunday and one big fish. Dude, that's what I'm talking about. That's right. That's awesome. That is awesome.
Oh, here we go.
What we got?
Never count out the underspin. Oh, Thad. This dude right here is a hammer straight up. He catches giants.
Heck yeah, that's what I'm talking about. So what was his name? Thad Moody?
Yeah, Thad Moody. He's on the Tactical Fishing Pro staff.
Dude, awesome. Well,
and
he's on a dang good bait.
I'll give you some of his juice.
Hey, that's what I'm talking. We won't give him. We won't.
I don't want to give up.
We won't give anything away out here that's not giving. He's not giving some. I'll take any.
I'll tell you what he's doing with that underspin.
I'm telling you, man, that's awesome. Has he been on the show? Has he commented before?
I don't think so.
Dude, welcome. Thank you for stopping by and watching.
He's a fisheries biologist, and he's friends with Shan O'Gorman.
Okay.
The aquatic biologist that's been on the show before.
Dude, that's awesome. We had the Thursday night's guest will be somebody I really wanted to have on here because we knew we were going to be hosting. I was really looking forward to that. Not that I won't watch Thursday show because I love hearing from the biologists. If we stop and really think about it, you get more knowledge, not from biologists per se. You get a lot of knowledge from biologists, but the folks that really think about the life of a fish, that's where you get a lot of knowledge from. And it's just, I was really looking forward to that one, and I hated that he couldn't make it tonight, but he'll be on Thursday night. So you guys will still get to enjoy the show. I'll just be typing in comments versus talking. Anyway, some of the next ones that Farmer did go over the other day, we talked about, and I know I've said on here that, and so out where I'm at, I'm strictly with Wedowee, I'm fishing spotted bass, largemouth, things like that, and that's the buzzbait. So this is a Fast Eddie Fishing. It's called a zombie buzzbait I bought from him. He's on TikTok. He's got tons of followers on there, and it's got the brass clacker on there. It's a great buzzbait. I mean, this one you can see the blades wore out. I mean, it's chipped up, and I've bent the hooks all. I mean, I have wore it out on big fish over where I'm fishing at. I've noticed that I'm not getting as bit as well right now on a buzzbait, whether it be skirted or not. I don't know if it's just water temperature right now. I don't know exactly why they're not biting it because I'm throwing it in the same areas I'm throwing some of these other baits. But this is one of those things that stays tight on year round anyway. And where I'm at, that bluegill, it looks like black and blue, but it's actually more of a bluegill, purple, brown, green. I actually made this skirt. I bought some skirt material at the Noe show to remake his skirt. It's a little bit different than what he made because the fish had literally destroyed the skirt on it. So clacking style buzzbait, I use it a lot. And then we got the Brazzalos. Now this one right here, I will tell you with the brass rod clacker, it tends to track a little bit left or right, depending on which way you're pulling, because that blade's hitting something right there in its path. I know with the Brazzalos it does the same thing, but it's more in line. The clacker is more in line, the ball clacker there that's on there. I've caught several fish the last couple of weeks on the other one version of this. I've got one that's made more for skirt material. This is made more for a frog or a toad on there. So even though I tell everybody I mainly use a skirt, I always keep something that I can put a frog, toad. My preference is the Z-Crawl Junior. I'll thread a Z-Crawl Junior on there and make it happen with that. And then we've got the infamous copper-bladed Wee Whacker.
Yes, sir.
Dude, that one, I cannot wait to tie that one on. The only problem I've got with this one right here is it's the only one I got.
You don't want to lose it.
I don't think there was I can't remember if I ordered this one or if it was actually at the show and I bought it. I can't remember if that one was at the show. I thought he had all the copper ones sold out. Maybe I bought this one. I can't remember. But anyway, I cannot wait to use that one right there. If you notice, almost every lure I've held up today has gold blades on it. I don't know what it is.
It's that time of year.
For me, I keep a gold blade on about everything I throw. I used to use the silver or the aluminum, but gold blades seem to be it for me. That's what I'm going for. So now you're saying at this time of the year, you've noticed it more.
Yeah, I picked it up from Robbie, the owner of Spot Choker.
Yeah.
He told me to throw that gold hologram Spot Choker.
Yeah.
Around spawn and pre-spawn.
Really?
And
so
I think it works better. I have noticed that it does work better than the other colors.
I'm not going to give up all my juice, but that's the reason I throw the gold. Yeah. Somebody told me what to do, and they're like, "Hey, gold blade, blah blah blah." I'm not going to give it up. I'm sworn to secrecy on that one, but it's not a big secret. But you notice everything I've got is either gold or copper colored that I brought in today, and I'm a buzzbait guy from way back. I was throwing this when I was 16, 17, 18 years old. When I got into fishing the first time, and the buzzbaits are absolutely, I would say my biggest fish I'd ever caught was buzzbait fish up until I got into fishing with a jerkbait and was able to land I had a jig and a jerkbait with 7-pounders on that. So, almost 7 pound on the jig, but then the jerkbait actually got my first 7-pounder in the boat. So those are my really big go-tos. So then I've said it on the show before, something I was going to get to learn in this year and get confidence in. So while I was doing that TikTok live, a viewer kept telling me to throw this. Let me see what you got in the boat. So the first thing I threw, and we're talking about dirtier water, so it's hard to see in the water. First thing I threw was a trick shad. Bought that at the Noe Expo, took it out of the box, threw it. The first day I threw it, I was like, Well, the next live I did, I threw it. He wanted me to throw something like that. Threw it a few times. I'm like, man, I'm just not feeling it today. Just not feeling this one right here. But this is another big fish. You're paralleling docks. You're doing those things like that the big fish are living under, trying to pull them out. Well, the lake I'm on, a little bit dirtier water, I just didn't feel like they were seeing this as much. Beautiful action in the water. And you guys that are glide bait guys, I'm going to lean on y'all for some expertise because I don't know glide baits. Alex, do you throw many glide baits?
I have just started recently throwing them. But if Jeremiah's still in the comment section, I know he throws those buka baits a lot.
And that's, so the guy on live with me, he was talking me through some of this stuff and trying to understand, the chopping versus the chopping with the reel versus chopping with the rod, that kind of thing, to get that action moving through the water. Beautiful way it runs through the water. So
there's some good videos out there of Buka talking about it with his tank, and you can even go by his place. I think it's in Marietta.
That's right.
And he'll show you how to do it.
Yeah. So
he calls them reel grinds is what he calls it.
Reel grinds?
Yeah, he calls it a grind.
I got you. I know he speed cranks his sometimes. He does all kinds of different things with it to get it moving right. But I will say that out of the box, that one was absolutely just a great look to the bait moving through the water. I was really surprised with how that looked. But we decided during that live, and Nia, I don't want to mess your name, but I like to chop the trick shad. So do you like to chop it, or do you like to chop it with a reel versus chop it with the rod tip? That's something I'm trying to see how the best way to go about it. We got some guys talking about the Z-Man on a Z-crawl on a booger man. Yep. All right. So we went with that. And then the guy in the comments was like, hey, have you got a big swim bait? And I said, well, as a matter of fact, I do. So we sat down and grabbed the box out, and I got this big box full of goodies here. It's got the Nessies in there. It's got different things. He's like, no, we need a paddle tail swim bait. So I pulled out the coal shad, which is exactly what Farmer talked about that night. He was the mag draft of the coal shad. And I went back and watched his YouTube video, and I went back and watched some of the live that night for the show. And I had zero confidence in this bait. When I say zero, I had only caught a catfish on this. Now, it was a catfish in the same spot on the lake I was fishing, like within 30, 40 yards of the same spot, right? Seawall. So anyway, I reluctantly tied it on, said, okay, I'll go fishing with it. First fish, 526. First cast.
Nice.
First cast. I'm like, and on the video, you can hear me. Are you kidding me? Are you freaking kidding me? Right here on the first cast, I catch. I mean, as soon as it hit, you knew it was a largemouth. You knew it was a fish. Largemouth only lake. I mean, there's largemouth carp and catfish in this lake amongst your bait fish, right? But I noticed during the wintertime, we had 12-inch gizzard shad, 10 to 12-inch gizzard shad floating. I saw one floating on top, and I've seen some bigger ones on forward facing. And that right there has put some big fish in the boat. And if you you can go to my TikTok, my Facebook, my YouTube. I'm putting videos on all of them for that stuff, so you can kind of see them. That one has been a big fish catch. Of course, that's the 6-inch. Then you got the 8-inch.
Yep.
The 8-inch as well. I have not tried throwing the 8-inch, and I don't know if I should. They have been absolutely swallowing this one. So I don't know. Obviously, my fish numbers may go down because I'm noticing, and I won't give away too much, but I'm noticing that it's 3 pounds and over for the most part.
Yeah.
And you may only get a couple, 3, 4, 5 fish, or you might be like Farmer and go out there and catch 15 on it, which that joker, I think he catch fish in the street out here. Real chops. Farmer says real chops because you're always in position to set the hook. I like it. I do like that. And Farmer, that was an impressive hook set on your last TikTok video, my man. That was a one-armed hook set, proceeds to boat flip it. I don't know how big that fish was, but it was pretty impressive. I tried to boat flip one yesterday, and I realized pretty quick, I was like, I might want to boat flip that one. He'd come up, and I was like, fish a little heavier than I thought it was. It was almost a 4-pounder. I'm like, I probably don't need to do that. Warren Barnes, both are my favorite swim baits to throw. I also use a hollow belly with a weight insert from Strike King.
Yeah, and
okay.
That was Thad.
So
here. See if I can find it real quick.
I'm going to ask the audience, is there – so I've only bought the Berkeley coal shads. I bought them a year ago. They've been in the boat for a year. I've probably thrown them a total of 5 times before a week and a half.
Right here.
Glides for bedding work great too. Put a sticky lead weight close to the nose and make it nose down to the bed, especially in lakes with threadfin shad. Dude, I like it. So, okay, so that makes sense because that was my other question, trying to get them down. And that goes, so what Farmer and I realized this last Sunday, so this was working around docks and seawalls that first week. When I caught that 6-pounder, caught the 526 on that, I had 14, 28, and 3 fish with a 6-pounder in there. So as the week progressed, we noticed they weren't hitting on dock poles, or I noticed they were hitting very sporadic on dock poles, like shallow dock poles, working the back to the front. Noticed they were hitting very shallow, or the bite started going away. Well, then we realized as Friday got here, they were off the seawalls about 5 more foot than they were the week before, 5 to 7 foot more, and they went to the bottom. So we started having to drag them. And Friday I was throwing this without any kind of weight. I was just slow reeling it back to the boat. Obviously it's got a little weight to it, but it's not enough to get it where it needed to be. So what I did, if anybody knows a coal shad, it's got the little sacrificial holes in the bottom where you can put a lead weight, a little nail weight in there. So anyway, Sunday went back out there. Farmer visited, and he had a nail weight in his, and he caught the absolute crap out of them. I mean, just absolute wore them out. I went out there my first cast, 498, and then about one more spot later caught a 590 on the same coal shad, but I noticed the bite was a little different. Anyway, coming back. So yesterday I went back out with the coal shad, with the nail weight in the bottom, the same spot that I caught the 646 the week before on the strutter. I saw it on active target. I saw the fish. I hadn't had my active target on all week long. Turned it on yesterday just to see. I watched the fish swim up towards that same dock. I threw this coal shad up there to it, hammered it, got it 2 foot from the boat, and she flipped it right out of her mouth. I'm like, you sorry rascal. It was at least a 6-pound. It may have been the same fish. Farmer says Magdraft is a standard for the soft body swim baits. They're just extremely soft. So that was going to be my next question. For you guys that are swim bait, the champions of swim baits, what's the difference? What makes one versus the other? Is there a difference? I've got a Spro, what is it? Megalodon?
Yeah, something
like that. I got one of those coming just to see. I've kind of fallen into that trap of wanting to buy all the different swim baits. For tonight's question of the night, when we get there, we've got a Bass Mafia dangerous swim bait.
Oh, the Zow Dangerous?
Yep. Danny left it for us to do the giveaway of the night. So that's coming tonight with the question of the night. And I don't think the question of the night is going to be too extremely hard. Kevin, if you're watching, I'm sorry. Danny came up with the question before I did. So we're going to let him have that. Gitsum says, coal shad been sitting in a tackle box since I bought one. Dude, I'm telling you, this thing sat in my tackle box for a year. And I had actually, this is one I had, I don't know how the eyes fell out of it because I didn't throw it a few times, but this is the one I caught the catfish on. and it has the nail weight in the bottom. Because I was thinking, man, I need to get that down there a little further. This is a year ago, and I caught a catfish on it and never nothing else. But I am now a converted believer in the soft body swim baits for sure, bigger swim baits.
Yeah, you got to try the burrito.
The burrito?
Yeah,
I'll try it. I'm willing to throw anything at them now because these.
It's from Bullshed.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Danny's got a couple of them back.
Okay. There. Well, so I went back out yesterday, caught the 6, what I believe was a 6. Because like I said, she got to the boat and literally flipped her head around. You could feel the hooks kind of starting to let go because she was jumping so much. Which if it's the same fish I caught the first time, she jumped a lot anyway. This is the 6-inch coal shad here. I've got the 8-inch. I've got one of those, but I've only thrown the 6-inch so far. And I'm a believer. I mean, I'm fishing dirtier water, so it's not as like I haven't taken it to a Clearwater lake yet. I haven't taken it to Wedowee. That's where I mainly fish. I do get to come up to Lanier every once in a while, so I haven't tried it there. But you got guys like Jeremiah that are catching them. I mean, where does he fish at mainly? Does he fish Lanier? I
have no idea.
So I won't say. He may not say where he fishes at. I just know he's all over.
He's all over. Yeah, he fishes all kinds of lakes and rivers, and
I mean, he's catching them on those things. So, yeah, get some. I'm telling you, right now is the time to gain confidence in something like a swim bait. And I'm fairly certain if I was to go like what's the gentleman's name? The hammer that you said it was in here a minute ago.
Thad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nose weight, getting it down in those beds. I can see that being an absolute just killer right there. Because you may not want that big paddle tail flopping around. You may want the more, just because like I'll throw a fluke. I'll throw on my lake, I'll throw that jackhammer or the strutter with the fluke trailer on it, and it looks just like something sitting in. I'll let it sit and I'll pop it through there instead
I'll just throw that fluke on a shaky head.
Fluke on a shaky head. That's another good point. I mean, and that's how I know they're not on. They're not saying they're not on bed, but they're kind of away from the bed right now. They're still staging up for it because typically I can take that strutter and there's certain areas I can throw it in, or not strutter, but a bladed jig and throw it in those certain areas, and they will absolutely hammer it. Lead wire around the front hook. Warren Barnes, those are killer on Wedowee, especially around standing timber. What are we talking about, Warren? The trick shad or the coal shad? Because now you got me. I'm gonna get him. Dude, that standing timber kicks my butt. That is the one spot on Wedowee that I do not have the most confidence in. I've got a little bit with some other baits, but that Wedowee has kicked my butt with that stand. There's so much standing timber in that lake, and I've heard that holds some giants. But I've only been able to coax a couple of them out of it, and it ended up being I think it was a spot hybrid. It looked like a largemouth. No, I'm sorry. It looked like a spot, but had none of the typical markings of a spot. So I had to let it go because there's a slot limit for Wedowee, and it was in a tournament. It was a kicker. Well, it wasn't really a kicker fish, but it would have helped us out tremendously during that tournament. So.
Hollis Latham has a lot of standing timber in it.
Yeah. That's that one thing. That place. So Warren says the mag draft and the coal shad. Good deal. That's good to know because I will absolutely throw this thing in the middle of that crap now. I mean, I am not going to be scared to throw that in there. And I'm assuming we're still talking about maybe weighting it as well. That's been the other thing was learning the swim bait game and learning weighting it versus not weighting, how much weight to add, how much to, but I'm getting there. I'm getting there with that. What depth are y'all trying to keep the coal shad in? So Brad, last week, when I first got on that bite on that TikTok live, I was just slow reeling it. I couldn't, and I'm in a shallow lake, so I'm throwing it towards the bank, but obviously not staying on the bank, bringing it out at an angle or whatever you want to call it. And I was slow reeling, so I wasn't feeling hit bottom. As of Sunday and yesterday, I was having to drag this thing on the bottom. I'd come back with leaves in it. I'd come back with pieces of bark in it. There's some areas on the lake that I know that are some rock, so I would be able to drag it through that. I was getting caught up in rock on some of them. So the bike changed over the course of a week to be more of a bottom contact, dragging it along the bottom type thing. So I think you just got to figure out your body of water and just see where they're hitting, what level of the water column they're in, and see where they're hitting at. That's been what I've seen so far this last week. Now, I think I'm gonna throw this one this week if I get a chance, just to see. Like I said, they were inhaling it yesterday. Well, I say inhaling it. They were getting it pretty good yesterday. But I had the 498 actually swallowed the 6-inch the other day, and then the 588 had it hooked through the top of the snout. And then yesterday's fish, they all had it hooked through the outside of the mouth, or through the front lip of it or whatever, and the 6 popped off. But the 469 I caught yesterday, I felt the hook starting to come loose. So it's kind of a weird bite with it, and it may start to taper off. It may get better. Who knows? So the new Strike King final copy swim bait absolutely does not hold up to more than 2 fish. It's also harder to maintain the right speed, and that's coming from Far Dog. So I will say, not this particular one, because the other one I'm using still tied on. I've caught every bit of 20-something pound worth of fish in 5, and they have not shown any wear on them yet. Now, dragging on the bottom, you may have to start worrying about hooks, sharpness of hooks, things like that. That's the other thing. In fact, somebody told me on the live the other day to change the hook out. It probably needed to be changed because I lost one. So
I sharpen hooks too. I've got a hook sharpener.
I gotta learn to do that, man. I still haven't done it. I know it needs to be done. I just go buy $40 worth of extra hooks and keep them in the boat and just go through it like I got money. So it seems to be what I do. I just hadn't sharpened any hooks. Let's see. Magdraft, Coal Shad, Brad just out of sight. Thad has run the tongue. Run the tongue and see if it has a tooth patch. If yes, it's a spot. If not, it's not a spot. Thad, that's very true.
And also the jawline.
That's very true.
Where the hinge on the jaw is on a largemouth, it's like behind.
The problem is the tongue didn't have a patch, right? But the fins had the typical spot look to it. Does that make sense?
It might have been a hybrid.
I'm going back and forth with that's what happened in that tournament. The actual dorsal fin looked like a largemouth where it kills off, but the tongue didn't have a patch. And then of course the jawline, we were so much of a question. We were like, well, we'll just thought it wasn't a tournament winning fish by any means. It just would have been a better look for that tournament. And I was afraid to, start, because like I said, there's a slot limit on largemouth, and I don't know. It was awfully weird. It just gave me the vibes that it might be either or. So let's see what we got here.
I've seen this a few times. All right, I like a Kayak Easy Shiner.
Kayak Easy Shiner. Favorite swim baits for A-rigs, largemouth versus spots?
I think they're 3.5 or 3 inch.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter for me, largemouth or spot. That's going to go on my A-rig anytime I'm throwing it.
So I was going through the bait, getting my bait wall squared away, and I've still got some bags to go through, and I've got like 10 different A-rigs. I have yet to catch a fish on A-rig, but I think it goes back to my just not having confidence in swim baits. Because I'll catch them on underspins with a swim bait, with a paddle tail. I'll catch them on, obviously this now, things like that. But so I've got like the Mayor on mine, the
Crush City.
The Crush City Mayor. Yep. I've got some of those on A-rig. And it's one of those things I'm looking at going, I'm out there on Wadawi chasing schooling fish and thinking, they got to eat this thing. I know they will. And I know that people get bit on them. I just haven't caught anything on one. That's another, I've probably got about 15 lures this year that I want to try to get confidence in. So I've got Kayak. I've got one that has Kayak on it. I've got the ones I've tried the Rapala. I've tried, see how Dave Aldridge says Rapala Mayor or Kayak 2.8. So there you go. And he's out there gunners.
He's an A-rig master. Yeah.
And he's fishing. I've got the Shane's Baits A-rig. I got 2 of them. I got one tied on. I got one extra.
I got one because of his buddy that came on.
So
what's up, John?
John in the comments. There you go, John. Hey, John just won the what was it? Southeast Kayak. Do you remember the name?
Southeast Georgia Kayak Bass Fishing, I think is what it is.
There you go. I joined the page on Facebook.
Lake Juliet tournament.
Lake Juliet. Me and a buddy of mine, John, were just talking about Lake Juliet. He was talking today about that. He said he loves that lake except for night fishing. He said the water moccasins like to come out on that place.
Oh, wow, really?
So he was like, and then, of course, it's been years ago since he fished there. But, yeah.
I know when I was supposed to fish the tournament up there with them, I was researching it. Yeah. Because that's what I do, right?
Yeah.
And, man, it looks like back in the 90s, that place was the spot.
This would have been when he was fishing, would have been back there in the 90s, maybe around the 2000s.
15-pounders getting caught left and right.
Yeah, this is when he would have been fishing, I think. So I think it was Juliet he was talking. We talked about a couple of different lakes that you don't hear about a whole lot, except for when he said Juliet. I remember John. I'm thinking, yeah, we've talked about that. I know he's been fishing a lot. So
he catches some good fish out of there, man. There's some good ones in there.
Yeah. And then Gitsom says, been fishing the Mayor on a light jig head and been getting crushed just fishing slow. There you go. Again, I could catch small paddle tail swim baits. It was just going to the coal shads that I just didn't have that confidence. I don't know why. I was just thinking I wasn't going to get bit with it. And then, like I said, it just turned around. This last 2 weeks has absolutely turned it around for me when it comes to catching fish on the bigger swim baits. And that's pretty much the lineup that we had that Farmer went over. And I'm not going to steal any thunder from Farmer with it because it was his his video, it just happened to be on the same day that I did. I wanted to touch base with it again. But these are actually baits that are working this time of the year for.
John's also sitting in like 4th place for Angler of the Year for the Georgia Kayak Fishing League.
He had some good fish showing up there. I know we had a question about one of his fish not getting counted, and that's something with the kayak guys that, you know, I don't know y'all's game as well. And when we lead into our guest, when he gets here, and it'll be a little while, just a few more minutes. We actually burned an hour up almost already. I can't believe an hour's gone by. It was like quick. Just me talking. So Andrew Blair, late to the party, dude. You're never late to the party. Come on in and join us. The water is fine. And Andrew Blair is a tactical fishing company.
Yeah.
If anybody wants, we already talked about the MRE, Andrew, an absolute fish catcher. I've used it as a trailer so far, and I'm not going to, again, not sponsored or anything. I'm not, but I'm a believer in that as a trailer now. Brad Silver has the rock crawler baits slowed for y'all also. I'll be honest with you. Fall, I was getting bit, that end of fall, I was getting bit on it, and it just disappeared for me at Wedowee. I mean, completely disappeared. Now, we were catching our last tournament at Wedowee on square bills, but I threw a rock crawl that morning. I couldn't get touched on it. So I haven't, it's been a weird crankbait bite for me. And I know Farmer in his video and last week talked about that square bill bite.
Two fish on a crankbait this winter.
It's just, for me, it's not been there at all this year. Not for anything that I would say was worth it.
I've been hearing a lot about these graph shads.
Dude,
I think I've been hearing it from you.
Yes, sir. Check out my TikTok
and the mooch minnow. Yeah, the mooch minnow.
So, Coleman talking about the mooch minnow, and then Thad that said Walton Doyle said the grass shad. So everybody went to the mooch minnow, right? And to me, the grass shad didn't get its due justice on that. So that's how I learned forward facing. That's not how I learned forward facing sonar. That's how I learned the jigging minnow bite. I could not figure that out. I have thrown shimmer shads. I've thrown ball heads with everything I could find on it, and just wasn't getting bit with it. So I bought the grass shads, and I don't remember why I bought them. Oh, I know why. There was a gentleman that was in here when we were watching the Bill Payne episode, the last Bill Payne show, and he was in here. We went fishing that Friday, and he showed me the grass shads. I'm like, okay, line through the top of the head, ties at the bottom. Perfect. Took it out to Wedowee and absolutely crushed them with it. Finally got bit and was wearing them out. And I'll be honest with you, how I first started fishing it was casting it and jigging it back like a jigging spoon, and they wore it out. And that's all it took to get the confidence. And then it started me actually finding individual fish and fishing for those fish and catching them on that. So
that's how I fish a chatterbait on Lanier.
Yeah, I mean, I fish Wedowee. I'll fish chatterbait jigging it as well. I mean, absolutely, it's a killer technique.
What's up, Mike?
Prohibition fishing. What's going on, man? What's happening,
kayak
dude?
Guy.
Mooch didn't get hit today, but it's awesome bait. Yes, I got away from the mooch because everybody was throwing it. I mean, I'm talking everybody was throwing a jig head minnow, was throwing a mooch. So I went to grass shads, and don't get me wrong, that baits, those different baits fit into different times. So I don't want to take away from anybody. But anyway, back to Farmer called all these baits out last week, literally on the same day that I was using everything except that particular day. I hadn't used the buzz baits that day. And I don't think I threw the jig, but everything you see here, pretty much that one night I caught, like I said, 14 and some change and 3 fish, which is really good for 3 with a 646 or 645 largemouth. And I just wanted to, emphasize tonight during the show that it actually works. This is not one of those, somebody's, I don't know about y'all, but you listen to YouTube videos and everybody's got an opinion on something and you're going, are they just trying to sell me baits? Well, you can guarantee that none of us, for the most part, are sponsored. I know Alex got a few sponsorships.
They're not. It's not a sponsorship,
but they are legit baits. When I tell you that strutter with the MRE on the back catches them, it catches them. So anyway, that's the one I like about the show is that if we're saying they catch them, you can go out there and figure it out. And most of us in here will teach you or tell you how we're doing it.
If I tell you to throw something, it's because I catch fish on it. And plain and simple. And it might. I'm with Andrew. And I'm an affiliate with Tactical Fishing.
Right.
But I don't only throw tactical fishing plastics.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
I mean, and Alex is the reason why I've got the MRE. I mean, that's honest. I went back on Sunday. So Saturday I bought all the different stuff. I didn't buy the strutter Saturday during the Noe show. On Sunday I went back and maybe I did buy. Either way, I bought a pack.
And I got 0 Zero anything to do with Brazalo.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean?
I'm just talking about the MRE part.
Right, yeah.
But I bought that one bag. I said, he's been saying about these MREs. I need to try them out. And I've seen them on TikTok and everything. And I'm like, I literally throw it the first time on a strutter. Or no, I threw it on a jackhammer, I think, to begin with. I can't remember anyway.
I think you were throwing it on jackhammer, yeah.
And then I got the strutter. I'm like, holy moly, this thing gets bit, man. Rattle trap and the Christmas tree color works good on Medallion or on your little lake. Yeah, rattle trap. I threw a lot last year. I think Farmer caught one the other day. The other one from Z-Man is awesome too. So he's talking about, I didn't bring it with me. He's talking about the Shadtron. And Farmer talked about the Shadtron on one of his lives. And that's why I went and bought a couple of those as well at the show, at the Noe show. So yeah, the Shadtron, I think it was Noe I bought it at. Anyway, I got 2 of those as well.
Nice. Tactical's getting ready to drop a new paddle tail. It's a little bit smaller body than that ballistic shad, which I like for our lakes. And it's he's going to have it in a few different profiles.
I got you.
From like 2.8 to I think 5 or 6 inches.
And something I forgot to bring up when we first started the show, I had it in my head. I made notes to talk about it. So this weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, we've got the March Madness Hunt and Fish Expo in Villa Rica, Georgia. Y'all need to go check that out. I will be there Saturday all day. I'll be working the Big Al Speed Shine booth. Big Al's, sometimes he watches the show. He's on TikTok a lot. I haven't really said anything about it. I'm a dealer through Big Al. I haven't really said anything on the show about it. But I wanted to make sure we talked about it real quick. But anyway, I'm going to be working with him at the booth. Y'all stop by and see me. I'd love for y'all to just come out. Alex, you're going to be there Sunday.
Yeah, I'll be up there with Festive Water on Sunday. They're the only kayak shop that's going to be there.
That's awesome.
And my kayak will not be on display.
Okay.
I don't think.
It's a long haul, man.
It is a long haul. And I don't think they have enough room for it. But
I got you.
We will be selling kayaks.
Heck yeah.
So if you guys want to come check them out, man, come check them out.
Man, that's awesome. And so there are going to be over 70 vendors. This is the inaugural first year. I've been living in Carroll County since 1989, I think it was. And I don't remember us having expo shows out there. It's going to be in Villa Rica at Gold Dust Park. I've got the address written down here at 646 Industrial Boulevard. Y'all stop by and see us. They are supporters of the show. They watch the show. They may be in the comment. They may not say a whole lot, but they're here. When I say that, I'm talking about Chuck Thrasher. He's the one that was putting on the show. It's presented by D&M Outdoors, Home and Outdoors, which is in, I believe, Buckhannon, if I'm not mistaken. It's one bait shop I have not made it by yet. And Tony Watkins bought me some from Big Al at the Noe show. Great product. I've literally had people buy 2 bottles at a time from me. I sold 2 on Sunday, I believe it was. My daughter's boyfriend was washing the car and was like, dude, I got to have some of that stuff. When I gave him my bottle and said, try it.
I think I'm going to get some for the kayak.
Dude, I bought a bottle sight unseen. I never met the guy, but he was putting it on bullet boats at the East Tennessee show. And I thought to myself, they don't just let you spray anything on brand new boats. So again, I'm not sponsored. I do sell the product because I got involved with him. I said, man, this is worth my time and effort. But anyway, I'm going to be there doing that. Y'all come by and see me. I'd love to meet anybody that's a fan of the show. We'll be there. I'll be there all day Saturday. Alex is going to be there Sunday. It's going to be I think it's going to be a great show. First time out there. So there may be a little learning curve to it, some of it, but I think Chuck's been around for a long time. He knows the stuff.
There'll be some good vendors out there, man. I know Spot Choker's going to be there too.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot like the Noe show as far as who you see.
And I'm pretty sure I saw that the first so many people through the door get a free Spot Choker Pro model.
Really?
And the value on one of those is worth more than it costs to get in.
Really? So. See, I hadn't seen that. But hey, it's worth a shot then. D&M is an awesome tackle shop, great people. So my wife went to school, I think it's Chris. So she knew him through that. I just don't get out that direction as much as I should. I need to go by and visit with them. I hope maybe they're watching the show one day. But yeah, I'm gonna get out there and talk with them and see them and visit with them. Walton's gonna be there Saturday. So y'all make sure you stop by because we are only going to be able to promote each other if we promote each other, right? And
yeah, exactly
shows,
right.
It's the other stuff. I saw you pull up the question about the where can you get the MREs. Go ahead with that. Tactical Fishing.
Yeah, tacticalfishingcompany.com.
Yep.
And if you're a first-time buyer, I don't know what the code is for a first-time buyer. You get 15% off. It might be automatic. But if you like them and you go back, you can use my code, Alex, at checkout and save 10%.
Yeah, I know. I'm on my March bait buying diet, and he had a dang 15% discount. but I couldn't combine it with your discount, but it was been 15%. And I'm like,
just wait.
I know,
Just
man.
because there's new stuff coming. Just wait.
Oh, man. Brad Silver's dang got to terminate that chick Saturday. Any chick juice in here?
Chick Maga, not from me, but you might get some from some other guys
know that,
in here.
That Big Al with Big Al Speed Shine throws a trap, and he was just there this weekend fishing a little tournament, I think, and they were throwing. I want to say they were still throwing the traps. Anthony Hampton high school kids get in free if they wear their jersey on Sunday. Good deal. That's awesome to know. Y'all make sure you get out there and support them. I mean,
shit, I'm gonna have to shave my beard then. I look like a kid.
High school kid, yeah. No, I won't be able to pass for a high school kid anymore. That's for dang sure. I didn't pass for a high school kid when I was in high school. That's good to know, though. At least we got y'all go out there and support them. I mean, it's gonna be the first one in West Georgia that I know of ever. I mean, I'm sure there was some back in the day, but I don't. Since I've been in it since '89, I don't remember there being one. But it's about that time for question of the night. Alex,
yes,
you've got
sir,
the question, so I'm going to let you read it.
Oh man,
I guess I could have kept it and read it, but then I'd had to give you the answer. Make sure you had the answer. So if tonight you're going to win, if you're the correct answer, you're going to win this Bass Mafia Dangerous Swim Bait. It's the weighted swim bait. It's the loaded 6. And I'm not sure the color on it. It's kind of a clear bottom, little green stripe with a gray back on it.
And I think that's the one from Chris Zaldane.
It's the one from
it's his deal.
Yeah, it's the Cristal Dangerous but it's spelled like his last name is.
Yeah, okay, then yeah.
That's his. So you'll win that tonight. So go ahead with that question. Read it twice for us.
All right, our question of the night tonight's brought to you guys by Serve IT. They are a local IT company here in Kennesaw, Georgia, and they can take care of your small business. They specialize in small businesses, but they can do other stuff. But the main reason that they sponsor the question of the night is that they are looking for the right people to come work for them. If you have IT experience, go check out serveit.com and click on the careers tab. And if you think you have that it factor and you don't have IT experience, hit them up anyways and tell them you heard about them from Fish North, Georgia, and you'll at least get a phone call. All right. So the question of the night is, what bait did Easton Fothergill credit 80% of his catches to in the Classic, and what color? What bait did Easton Fothergill credit 80% of his catches to in the Classic, and what color was it?
That'll be a pretty simple one. Again, I apologize, Kevin. I did not come up with that question.
No, Jim Brazzalo is not going to be there.
Yeah, no, he's not going to be there. He was actually, I was watching his live earlier.
I think Danny's done with show season.
Yeah. Anybody getting close?
I mean, they're kind of close.
It's got to be specific. It's got to be specific. There's a specific.
This is it right here, but he doesn't have the weight.
Yep, it's got a specific weight to it.
You got to get that weight for me, Shop Life.
Yeah, y'all are getting close. Y'all are hitting all around it. I mean, it should be an easy one.
First person get that weight.
And like I said, Kevin would literally smack me if he knew I was there and give him the weight. You know, we're giving him hints in there.
There it is.
There we go. Darian Moss, 332nd Nico rig, Red Bud. Red Bud?
Red Bug. Yeah, we usually give it to him.
Yeah, that's. I mean, that was we'll have to say that. That was right on the money there. I mean, it's just
Darian, you've won many times. You know what to do.
Yep. Who was that again?
Darian Moss.
Darian has won a few times. Was he the one that went through was that him that went through the finger typing that one night that we had like 30,000?
It might have. I think it might have been.
I can't remember if it was Darian, if it was another guy. I can tell. Yeah. So that's that. We already said it. That's going to be it. Red Bug. But we're still waiting for our guest for the second hour to come in. We may not get as much time with him as we wanted to, but we're going to keep plugging along with anything we want to talk about. See what we got. Anybody else in there?
Let me check and make sure he's not texting me or anything.
Yeah, we're waiting on Chad Hoover to get here. He had another show he was on, and he was graciously agreed to do the second hour with us. We're waiting on him to get here. We'll transition into that once we get there. But we'll just keep talking about fishing in general. Anybody got any chick advice for Brad? He's got a tournament out that way. Strike zone fishing, top 5 baits. I'm assuming you're asking for top 5 baits. Well, he said, yeah. Darian said, yes, sir. That was me. I thought that was him. He was on fire that night. I think it took him. I know he went through most of the double digits to get there. Trap color.
I don't even throw a trap.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. He's talking about Chick up there,
Chrome.
and Alan Coley, Big Al, has called me and told me. We've talked about it several times, and I'm going to be honest with you, Brad. I don't remember the color he talked about that time. I got a question. I have no idea how wind affects me as a bank fisherman. Can y'all educate me on why it matters? So I'm getting better at the wind, reading the current breaks, things like that. And then Dave answered Brad's question. So, I like, for me, when I'm fishing out of the boat, and I know we buy a boat and then we go right to the bank with it, a lot of times, at least I do anyway, especially largemouth fishing. I'm just doing the same thing, but in reverse. So I'm looking for areas where the wind's pushing to that bank. It pushes you'll hear people correct that it pushes the plankton or the microscopic food in, then the bait fish follows, and then the big fish follow, right? So that's how I look at it. I also pay attention to wind blown banks with current breaks on it. So like the lake I fish a lot, it's a lake. It doesn't have a current seam, so to speak. It's got more wind blown current. So I'm looking for those little eddies and things like that where the wind makes a difference. So if you're on the bank fishing and you're noticing the wind's cutting across the end of the point, but it's making a dead slack water area on that other side, you'll have fish sitting on that side. And so when I caught my first fish with that coal shad, that's exactly where they were sitting. I was on the end of a point. I was on the back side of it. The wind was cutting across one end and creating a slack water spot there. And I threw up in the slack water. And by the time it made it to that eddy or that seam, that's where the fish was sitting. He wasn't on the seawall. He wasn't 5 foot out. He was 5 foot straight in front of me, or 5 foot off the bank in front of the seawall. But it was right on that seam where that wind was blowing. And I think that, to me, that makes a difference, especially in a lake that gets a lot of pressure, a lake that gets a lot of boat pressure, bank pressure, whatever. You'll notice those areas where the wind picks up, you tend to catch a little bit better. At least that's what I notice. I tend to catch a little better fish or more fish because it breaks up whatever I'm throwing. As soon as it gets slick calm out there, I start getting nervous. Wind is your friend kind of thing. Typically, when it gets windy out, I'm going to get the boat out. That's just me. So for bank fishing, I would think would be the same way. Now, if you're trying to throw top water or something like that, that's a different story with the wind. A little bit of ripple on the water, top of the water makes a difference. But I like the wind, especially if I'm fishing anywhere near the bank. I want that to break up the side of that. When it stops getting windy outside, even bank fishing, there's a few places I'll bank fish. Even the lake I fish most of the time, I'll go to those areas where that wind's blowing, or I want there to be a little bit of wind. If not, I'm having to throw a shaky head or something super finessey to get a bite. Alex, I know you fish out of a kayak. Wind does make a difference for you, and how you fish it. You got any input as far as bank fishing goes?
It's pretty much the same thing as you, except I'm not going to go sit in the wind.
Right.
I'm going to go sit on the slack side.
Yeah.
I'm going to throw into where the wind's blowing and kind of drag it back, because they're going to be right there. It's an ambush area,
right,
where they can hang out and get the stuff that's getting tossed by.
Dave Weaver says 3/4 chrome blue rattle trap when the wind is blowing into big flats will wear them out on Lake Lanier. There you go. There's some juice for Lanier. I mean, and
so usually throwing a McStick in the same area. Try the McDart too, because that thing has been hammering.
I saw where I never got clarification on McDart. So we've had the McDart for what, 2 or 3 months now.
Yeah, no, we can talk about it.
Well, yeah, I thought we could. I hadn't made any. I threw it in a tournament, and those things are absolutely some fish catchers.
Yeah,
I mean, I throw the Berkeley Stunna a lot, and if you look at my TikTok with my bait wall, you can see there's 2 rows of Stunnas on there, and they went on sale. Anyway, the McDart, it's the real deal. It's another good bait.
I don't know, man. I don't know where you can find them, because I'm still throwing the one that they sent us.
I've still got. So they had them on their website. I thought they had them on their website. I could be wrong, David. We got them through Fish North Georgia. We weren't allowed to talk about them, so I fished them in a tournament that me and Jim Wright were fishing together. And the first 2 fish I caught, I believe it was the first 2 fish, or it was the second and third fish we caught in the morning. Anyway, it was on a flat near a flat back towards the bank. It was the only thing that would bite for me.
I caught 6 of them in the dock lights with it.
That's the one I saw. I saw Dave was fixing to drop the video. That's who I saw was fixing to drop the video, and it reminded me that we could talk about them. Yeah. So Dave Aldridge fishing. He's going to have a McDart video.
That's Dave. That's always on the show, guys. Y'all go give him a follow.
It's Dave Aldridge that sits over here next to us, and it looks like we got our guest finally popped up in our screen here. So we're going to transition over to our guest of the night, and that's Mr. Chad Hoover. Excuse me, I almost said Weaver. I'm seeing Dave's name up there. Chad,
What's up, y'all?
how's it going, sir? How you doing?
Pretty good, man.
Good deal. So, Alex, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm a bass fisherman. I'm a boat guy. I just started back fishing a couple of years ago, but I have made a lot of friends in the kayak business, the kayak fishermen, and I got a reason why I do that. Some of the nicest guys I've ever met. So he said your name last night, and I went today and started just watching. I tried to consume as much content of yours as I could. So I didn't really get to do a great introduction. So if you would do us a favor and give a little bit of introduction about yourself. Tell us who you are and what all you got going on. He's an author. I've got notes written here about all the stuff he's got in his background, and I'm just super impressed. But I don't want to steal. I know he is a Navy veteran, and I am a Marine Corps veteran. So semper fi to my Navy veteran friend here. So take it away, sir. Just give us a little bit about yourself and what's going on with you.
Well, thank you, man. Sorry I'm a little bit late. I was on a different podcast. And, so, like you said, I spent 20 years, 5 days in the Navy. Joined when I was 16. Went active at 17. Retired at 37. Really got into the kayak fishing thing when I was about 20, 50 now. So a little over 30 years. Grew up in paddle sports because I'm from Louisiana originally. So half of the year you have to take a John boat to get to a bus stop or a canoe because stuff floods. Every time a beaver in the middle of the night, flooding the house is flood. So I spent my whole life in paddlecraft, watercraft, small craft. And then I started kayak bass fishing. Wrote a book about it. Did a YouTube video to support the book. The production company sent it to a network called Pro Fishing Network, and they asked for a pilot. The production company sent the pilot in about it, and then that turned into the network ordering a TV series. Spent 13 years doing TV, YouTube. The fans and the community started asking for questions. So even though I didn't have a tournament background, I started running tournaments doing the best I could. A few years ago, I had to with my ex-wife with some financial issues. Got all that lined out. Kind of reinventing the wheel, and I also got away from TV. I realized that the direct digital streaming content, all that stuff is just.
Hey, Chad, the guys say we're getting a bad echo.
So I could hear that, but I thought that might have been just me. So I was like,
did you kill the mics in here?
I killed 2 of the mics in there, thinking that it might have been from the TV.
Turn mine down and see if it's maybe mine too. We'll just work around that. See, I'm hearing him fine on this side.
Right, same.
We're hearing you loud and clear over here. So we're hoping maybe it's our in studio mics that are.
Whenever I was talking before, I heard myself back. Yeah, I can still hear it. So it's like an echo. I don't know if anybody watching is hearing that, but I could definitely hear
Yeah, they said they're hearing the echo. I just don't know where it's coming from. The problem.
You want me to jump out and jump back in?
Yeah, if you would try that, we'll see. Is your volume up on your speakers, Chad?
Yeah.
Turn your volume down.
Yeah, that's what it is.
I bet it's feedback through that.
I get that on my headphones.
Yeah. I was just on another podcast. StreamYard the same, nothing's different, so it was working.
Oh, really? Oh. Okay. Yeah. Jump out and jump back in for us.
I'll do that. I'll jump right out and I'll jump right back.
Yep. All right.
That stinks. Thanks for letting us know, you guys. I was back here messing with it, trying to get it going.
We were trying to fix it while I was talking, so we'll just start over. We'll make sure.
That's what I thought it was coming from the mics up there.
Which is crazy because, like I said, on our side we hear him fine.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe it was our in studio mics were picking him up. Yeah, John, you said it's still there. We're pulling him back in now. Hopefully this will. All right, we got him back. We'll see if it works now.
What's up, man?
All right.
Y'all let us know if you hear anything.
Yeah, I can hear it on the other side when I talk.
Yeah, it's fine on for us too.
Okay, cool.
Crazy.
I can do
it. Always happens, Fat Bassin.
Yeah. Danny leaving there. Still the echo. So he said he's still getting the echo. Dang. Mute. Can we mute our mics while we're talking and see if it comes out that way? And we'll just unmute when we go to talk again. We're going to playing the mic game here. Are you hearing us, Chad? Are you hearing mute with us? Are you hearing Are you hearing an echo with us when we speak? It's not us.
I can only hear it when I talk. I can hear it when I talk. It's echoing in your room and coming back to your room.
Yeah, maybe just hot mic. We noticed earlier when we were doing it, there was a truck went by and it was pretty loud in the mic, so or in the ear headsets.
Where did we go here?
T-Tom says mute every mic with the main mic and see if it goes away if you like. So just try mute them all, I guess.
Yeah. No, I don't.
Yeah, if I turn mine down, I can't even hear. So I can see, you, but I can't hear you.
Right.
Now I hit echo again. I'm gonna grab a headset and see if I can.
Okay.
Let me see if I can find a headset real quick.
Yeah, he's
Technical difficulties, y'all.
Yeah, we got. There's always gremlins that show up, and we didn't. Unfortunately, typically when we have guests show up, we work out the gremlins. But in this case, he had a previous engagement that he had to do, so we had to kind of do a half show thing. We're working on. He's gonna get some headphones real quick. We're gonna try to get him back on. So we were talking when he first got on, and I said, I've tried making friends with. I tried making friends with kayak guys, and there's a reason why. I have not met a kayak guy that is turn the volume on the TV volume off.
But then we won't be able to hear him.
Yeah, then I won't be able to hear him is a problem.
It's not on our side. It's
I wonder if it's the main mic. It's pretty loud. Yeah, we
How about now?
Can y'all hear him now? Are y'all getting
I'm triggering myself on the other side.
It's this TV volume.
And it's like a delay too. So when I say it, it's like I can hear it from into the studio coming back through the mic. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah, when home muted, it was fine. Huh.
You got a remote over there?
I don't know where you put the remote at. The problem. It's somewhere. You got it? We're going to try to turn this TV down. He says, still bad, John. We're working on it, guys. We're working on it. Is that for that? Yep, there we go. Oh, we go down. Go down, go down. All right, Chad, try now. See if we still hear it. So it is our TV. Did you? What?
It's coming from the TV.
It's coming from our TV. It sounds like, but now I can't hear him. So we killed them. We killed the audio, but now I can't hear him speak at all. So you guys might be able to hear him, but I won't be able to hear a thing. Okay. Try talking, Chad. See if you're hearing through the mic. Oh, we've done something now.
I let him start it down.
Uh-oh. Boy, we've got the gremlins tonight, y'all.
Yeah.
Oh,
Because it was what, like 40 something?
yeah, it was.
Talk for me, Chad.
Yeah,
We can't hear him at all.
now we can't hear him.
Yeah, we can't hear you at all, Chad. We lost your audio.
Hey, we're gonna have to jump back out and jump back in again.
Hold on. How about now?
Oh, how about now? Can y'all hear him now? And is it still
Can you hear me
now?
now? Can you hear me now? I can still hear the echo now.
Can you? We can
Yeah.
read lips though. How about? Are you still hearing that echo?
Mic check 1 2. Yeah, it's like it's coming from like something else in the room. Does that make sense?
All right. So, what else could be hot that we're getting mic feedback from?
Keep talking, Chad.
Yeah, go ahead and keep talking, Chad.
We all live in a yellow submarine. A yellow submarine. A yellow submarine.
I love it. Robert says everything is fine.
Yep.
Mic check.
That's gonna have to happen.
Yeah, we're having to mute we're gonna have to mute this side till it's better.
That's weird.
That was good right there. I didn't hear anything. Well, now it's back.
Hang on, he's turning it back down now.
We'll keep him low right here.
All right, so we're gonna keep the TV volume low. Maybe that'll work.
We'll do this like the old Navy thing, where when I'm talking, I say over, and then I'll shut up, and then you can turn your audio up.
There you go. And don't say repeat, because that is not what you want.
Right.
All right, let's try starting over. We'll start over with everything. Just get a quick synopsis of what we started talking about. A little bit of background for us.
All right. My name's Chad Hoover, founder, president of Kayak Bass Fishing, or KBF. Started kayak fishing in 96 when I was in Corpus Christi. Mostly did saltwater for about the first 3 or 4 years. Started really doing well, fishing tournaments, catching fish I'd never caught before, doing some crazy stuff. Got to Virginia in the Navy and realized there was all these lakes that I would see when I was flying around the helicopter. And so I started going and checking them out with the kayak because they were lakes that didn't have boat ramps. They were lakes that didn't necessarily have people fishing them. So they were legal, but not legal at the same time, meaning they weren't Virginia Department of Game Land and Inland Fisheries lakes. They were public drinking water reservoirs, but they didn't have a boat ramp, but they had a public access. And so I would just drag the kayak through the public access and go fishing. And for 2 or 3 years, they couldn't figure out what to do with me. They were like, well, it's not illegal, but it's not legal. So I'm like, well, if it's not illegal, by definition, it's legal. And they were like, yes, but we would prefer that you didn't do it. And I was like, I would prefer that you leave me alone so I could go fishing. And so we settled on that for a couple of years. But I started catching all these giant bass. I'm talking like I was catching double-digit bass in Virginia Beach, Virginia. I'm like, what? Nobody thinks there's big fish in Virginia Beach. Doing really well, catching big fish too. You know, going out with Kayak Kevin Whitley and Rick Burnley, who is now the like editor-in-chief of Kayak Angler Magazine, and everybody knows Kayak Kevin Whitley for all his crazy exploits. But like we go out fishing, and I was the first person to catch a cobia from a kayak, and then Rick was a writer, so he got it put on the cover of Chesapeake Angler, and then it just kind of snowballed. But when I started bass fishing again, I would go to all the forums because pre-social media, we had these things called forums, and freshwater fishermen were treated like redheaded stepchildren because everything was saltwater. Or there was like this little board at the bottom, kind of like special ed, where all the I'm a bad fisherman, that's where I'm going. You know, we all hung out down there. And one day I was at a party and I said to a buddy of mine, I'm like, man, somebody should start a damn kayak bass fishing page where we're not the redheaded stepchild. And because there's so many different types of bass fishing, we shouldn't have like one forum on 50 forums, right? He's like, dude, why don't you start it? I'm like, I don't know anything about a website. So a guy named George Hughes from Virginia Beach actually went and bought the website, and then he gave me the website the next day. Here, I'll transfer it to you. I'll set it up. And then people are like, we should have competitions. I'm like, how the hell are we going to do that? But catch, photo, release I had been doing in saltwater. And with saltwater, it was easier because we just rolled up an old blind, put a sticker on it, and it wasn't that serious. And bass fishing, I knew bass fishing was more developed on the professional fishing side. So I knew that the anglers were going to be more discriminating. Does that make sense? So we just started developing the rules and we started playing the game. And, you know, as they say, the rest is history. We've had some highs, we've had some lows. It's kind of one of the things when you're riding a three-wheeler out through the woods and you don't have a trail to follow, you run over some saplings, you stick a tree limb through the air breather, the cooler, you flatten a tire or two. But definitely really proud of what we've accomplished. There's some mistakes that we've made along the way, overcommitting to extra money payouts and things like that. But I firmly believe what we've done was the powder keg moment for getting competitive kayak fishing to where it's at. I gladly have passed the torch to Bassmaster. They have more resources, a bigger platform, a legacy. And I think they can take that professional fishing thing and take it to the next level. And then I'm embracing my role as being the community. And I enjoy that so much more. It doesn't feel like a 5,000-pound gorilla on my back, like running a tournament series did. When you run a major tournament series, it's like have you ever met a nurse who works in the emergency room and she thinks everybody's dying because everybody she meets is dying? Oh, yeah. When I ran a tournament series, I became a toxic person because all you're dealing with is people complaining, bitching, complaining, whining. And even when they got like good suggestions, they come at you with this, like, you know what you ought to be doing? Oh, I have no idea what I ought to be doing. Why don't you tell me from the one time you spent 8 seconds thinking about this and I've been doing it for 15? Go ahead. And they're like, well, I think you should make the payouts graduated based on fish from 14 to 15, and then just all this random craziness. So when you're constantly being bombarded, you feel like you're under attack. And when you feel like you're under attack, especially when your job used to be to thwart attacks, you fight back. And I did. And I just didn't enjoy that shit anymore, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? I just got tired of feeling like everybody was always complaining. And to be honest with you, man, now that I've backed up from it and I don't have that, I don't feel like Atlas trying to hold up the globe. I can see the community for what it really is, which is 99.99999% the best people you'll ever freaking meet. We've got a tiny little 1%, because we're a cross section of society, of the blowhards who want to be somebody, but they don't want to do the work it takes to be somebody. So the way that they look at it is, if I tear that guy down to my level, I don't have to climb so high. But there's ways to deal with those people too. You just ignore them.
How long has it been since you relinquished the reins?
Get that mic up to the face.
Oh, sorry.
Last year.
How long has it been since you? Last year? I thought so. I went back on your YouTube and I was watching some videos, and I think it was a year ago as I was coming in today, and you were talking about the mental state of things. And, you know, you talked about some stuff that we all, you know, veterans and people hear about a lot, PTSD, things like that, and victim mentality. I really thought a lot of that video, because you brought, you know, we don't want to talk about some of the stuff that we create. And I don't want to go down that rabbit hole, because, you know, there's so much with it. Unless you
go down the rabbit hole, but let's at least go down the snail hole. Okay.
that'll work.
I'll tell you what I did. I invested way too much faith in a person who was supposed to be my partner for life. And so 3 years ago, I relinquished the reins to that person 4 years ago to run the company. Biggest mistake I ever made in my life. I thought I was empowering somebody, and I was empowering them to put a hot poker up my ass. When I lost that, I felt like I lost part of my identity. And then I started getting on social media more and more, looking for, you know, we look for redemption. We look for validation through social media. What I ended up finding was I would find a buddy who had committed suicide. And then the next thing you know, I'd go down a rabbit hole, and then somebody would mention, man, I can't believe Parker's gone. I haven't been this jacked up since Smitty killed himself. And I'm like, wait, what? And then I didn't know that person was gone. And then you go down this rabbit hole, and I'm going to tell you something, and we'll move on from this about a minute and a half. I'll make it as tight as possible.
That's fine.
I was trained, and we were all brainwashed like a bunch of fucking minions when I was in the Navy, to believe that if you committed suicide, it was because you were a pussy. It was because you were weak. It was because you gave up. It was because of all these things. And I ended up in this really bad area of depression, partially because I was losing all these friends. But a big part of it is I felt guilty for all of the people who, when I was in the military, who had committed suicide, that I could remember myself shitting on, because I bought in to that narrative that there was something wrong with them. What I learned is, and I'm going to make this as quick as I can, what I've learned is that the person that ultimately gets to the point where they choose to take their own life, especially if they have a family, is they're actually not taking the easy way out. They're not abandoning their family. They feel like they've become a burden. So they feel like they're unburdening their family. So as crazy as it sounds, it's this weird selfless act to take themselves out of the equation, to remove themselves as a burden on their family, because they think their family will be better off without them. And dude, I was driving down the road. I was listening to some of these warrior podcasts. I was trying to get myself out of this woe is me pity party, because I cannot stand feeling like a victim. I cannot stand feeling weak. I cannot stand feeling like I can't run through you if you're in my face. And I can't stand so growing up, I was abused. And so what happens is, and it wasn't his fault. My dad was an alcoholic, so technically it was, but he was a monster. He was like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. But what I've learned in this process is most of us, especially you guys the clowns that did what you do, like Uncle Sam's Misguided Children has never been a better characterization. We come from broken homes and broken lives and broken families, and because we're better able to deal with bullshit because we've been dealing with bullshit our whole life. So I can remember getting screamed at in boot camp and AOCS and every program I ever went to. And I'm thinking, bitch, do you think that's doing something? Like, I had a real monster. I don't have to worry.
Exactly.
I didn't grow up thinking there was a monster under my bed. That motherfucker was dragging me out of my bed by my ankle and beating my ass like a grown man my whole life. So no, I didn't think there was a monster under my bed. That some bitch was 3 doors down in the 1-bedroom trailer, right? So anyway, we go through this process and we get taught. I can remember we lost a good friend in a combat mission. We all get brought into a room. Guy walks in with a fucking folder. Hey, pardon my French, by the way, guys. When you get me talking like this, I'm talking sailor. So apologize. But he opens up this book and he goes, all right, guys, I just want to say this. You all are 100% free to say whatever you want when you have to talk to this counselor so they can get their check in the box that they did their psych eval. But, and again, feel free to say whatever you want to, but if you say this, 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 or this, you're coming off the battlefield, right?
Yep.
Look at professional athletes. Look at people that have trained their whole lives to do something. Go to the sideline and the dude's got a broke leg. Like, coach, put me in. We ain't saying something's wrong with us, especially out there on the tip of the spear. So we get trained to suck it up. We get trained to bottle it up. We get trained to put it in a bag. And the best analogy that I can come up with is it's like a Jack in the Box. You're sitting there, ding, 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 and you never know when that batshit crazy clown is coming out the top of the thing. And there was times that people, probably not even the thing that they did, but other things that they did triggered me. There's still a bunch of jackasses in the kayak fishing cesspool called Kayak Bass Nation that bring up this video of me from, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago, whatever it was, where I went on live on Facebook and called some dude a cocksucker because I was like, you're not going to come after my livelihood. But you know what? It wasn't just what he did. It was everything that I was going through at the time. And you just turned that crank handle one more time and that jack in the box came out the box. And dude, all that shit was normal to me because that's the way we dealt with shit in the military. If me and you had conflict, we would go into a work center and they would lock the door and put a screwdriver in the thing. And when somebody knocked on the door, whoever came out the room was standing, the one who was right and the one that was bleeding was the one that was wrong. So I go through all this bullshit and I figure out that really most of us don't have PTSD because we had PTSD before we went in. So we're better able to deal with that shit. What we don't know how to do is grieve. And because we don't know how to grieve, we never go through the 5 stages of grief. We flip-flop between the anger and depression phase, and we get depressed, and then we get depressed and we see ourselves turn into a fat slob and we blah, blah, blah. And then we get mad and we got mad energy in the gym. And then we lose 40 pounds and we do our thing and we're going and going. And then another thing hits us to suck us back into the depression loop. So you're stuck in this tailspin. So I was driving down the road. I thought I was doing okay. I had about a 3-month stretch of not wanting to, have lead for dinner. And I'm driving down the road. I'm listening to one of these warrior podcasts to get myself psyched up, right? I'm fucking warrior mentality, baby. I'm listening to these, killers. And I don't even remember who it was, to be honest with you. I think it was Chad Wright. And he's got a guy on there who's interviewing him. And they're having a conversation. They're talking about being downrange. And the guy says, do you know what the 2 most dangerous words are in the English language? And Chad kind of tilts. I think it's Chad, right? He tilts his head and he says, military intelligence. Ha ha ha. He makes a joke. And the dude's like, it's a video podcast, and I'm watching it on my phone driving down the road. It is what it is. Hate me. I was watching a YouTube video driving down the road with it on my cell phone holder, right? Cuts back to the guy, deadpan, stoic. He ain't laughing. He says, again, the question was, what are the 2 most dangerous words in the English language? Cuts back to the dude, and the dude says, I'm fine, bro. Pull over on the side of the road, motherfucking snot cry for like 12 minutes because I was telling myself, I'm fine. It was like my little mental pep rally. Dude on this podcast says it. I go look up every podcast he's ever done, every book he's ever written, you know what I'm saying? And just start educating
Right.
myself on dealing with depression and dealing with grief. And the best thing I ever did is invest in myself in learning how to deal with grief so that I don't not feel it, but I bring it in, let it rush over me, go through the anger phase, go through the depression phase, go through the phases, right? I'm not going to do the whole book, but like the one thing, if this hits one person and you're out there and you're struggling, read a book on the 5 stages of grief. I highly recommend getting a Christian version of it, but if you don't and you get a secular version, make sure it covers the 5 stages of grief and just learn how to do a little bit of processing through those stages, a little bit of self-induced cognitive behavior therapy. And you don't need a bunch of woe is me bullshit. You don't need a bunch of coddling. You can fix yourself because you know, if you can unfuck yourself is basically the way that I say it, because it's really not that hard.
So I use fishing as my outlet. And I didn't start fishing again until about 3 years ago. So I use fishing as that's my time. I tried tournament fishing for a couple of years. This last year, I told my wife, I said, you know what? I've got to get back to I want to go fun fishing again. You know, I want to be back in that mental state. I was tired of being the leader of the boat. I was tired of being the guy that felt like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. So you started kayak fishing, like you said, a long time ago, not in your 20s. Is fishing still an outlet for you after going through all the stuff with the tournament series? Is fishing, kayak fishing, is it still a good outlet, good healthy outlet for you right now? Is that do you enjoy it? I mean, because I see guys get burned out. Yeah,
I do
you
now.
do now, and that's
3 years ago. There was a point where I had serious conversations with myself about how did I mess up the one thing that I thoroughly enjoyed. And ironically enough, like that dude right there and that dude right there and that dude right there are the 2 favorite people in the world that I like to fish with. And we've reconnected. I'm reconnected with the people that I enjoy fishing with. I've really shrunk down my circle.
And that's huge.
And yeah, and
so,
and I don't just enjoy it again. I obsess over it again. I had pneumonia for 3 months, which like forced me to focus on all the business crap to get it out of the way, so that when the fishing was like it's about to be right now, I could enjoy it again. Mm-hmm. But I was miserable. I was miserable not being able to do it. And then my son's out there putting up fucking dirty 30s like every 3 or 4 days and texting me, ha ha ha, motherfucker, you know, whatever. But yes, I do. There was a period, and I did a video about it. I said, I hate this shit. I got to the point I didn't even want to look at a kayak. I didn't want to talk about fishing. I didn't want to talk to people who didn't get it. You know, I did this video a long time ago where my production company, I didn't do that audio like where I'm talking like I'm doing TV. He asked me, and we were out fishing, hey, what do you like about fishing? I'm like, man, I just love everything about it. And he took that audio and laid it over footage of me fishing. But in that video, I said, when I'm not fishing, I think about fishing. I don't know what people who don't fish do. Like I said that in the video, but I was just having a conversation, and I really meant that. I don't know.
That's the first.
People who don't fish do. Like if you don't fish, I don't understand you. Like it's not
that was the first video I watched this morning. Was that video?
It's not that we can't be friends. It's just that we don't have anything in common, because I don't know what it's like to know that fishing exists in the world and not want to do it. But I got there. I got to a point where I'll tell you what it was. Dealing with sponsorships and dealing with all of these companies and dealing with people who work at these companies and these fishing companies who don't fish makes me want to throat punch people. It really does. And so I just told some companies to flat out piss off. You know, I am making about 140,000 or less a year because I told some sponsors to eat a dick. I was broke. I was going through a divorce, but you're going to tell me what you think we ought to do, and it's got something, and you don't even know. You don't know how to fish. You want to tell me how to say it, you know, like.
Right.
and it sounds inauthentic, but I put it in Chat GPT, and Chat GPT said you should do this. Well, I use Chad GPT, bitch, and that's what you're paying me for. So,
ChatGPT.
yeah.
Well, we started off the show today talking about the Classic win, being a 22-year-old man. I say man, 22 years old. I was doing manly things at 22 years old. He's a man. Wins the Bassmaster Classic, and the negativity that came out and after that happened because he's using forward-facing sonar or whatever. And we won't get into the drama of forward-facing sonar on here at all. But we talked about the negativity in fishing. The fishing community. We say we're a great community, and then we get negativity like that. And I know the Fish North Georgia folks that are watching, they're better than that. We shut down a lot of the negativity pretty quick. We don't let it get too far. And I'm just filling in for Danny. I wish Danny could be here tonight, but I'm filling in for him. But Alex, and what I was saying earlier, being a glitter rocket guy, I've made friends with kayak guys because all the guys that I've met in the kayak world so far have been wonderful people to me. I have not seen, but I guess it goes just like bass fishing, or you just like boat guys. It gets on the negative side on both sides of it, and it wears you down after a while. And you had said something in one of your videos where you're talking about sponsors, and I kind of chasing this rabbit now. I see a lot of guys trying to get sponsorship stuff, and they're always trying to go for it. And you made a comment in one of the videos, I don't remember which one it was, that you told a guy no. After 2 years of working hard for sponsorships, you told a guy no on his first offer because you knew your worth. You figured out your worth pretty quick and knew that offer was not what you were worth. And I thought that spoke a lot to, we see a lot of folks. I mean, I see these. So I got friends, I won't name any names, that I'm a pro staff guy. And this is back, and they're like, I got a code, and I'm not dogging anybody for that. I think it's great, but you're worth a lot. You're worth a lot. I mean, I know Alex does, me and him talked about this stuff. Alex does great content. I do a lot of content. I don't get any, I don't have any codes or anything like that, but you spoke about that, and I'll let you go more into that, because that to me was like awesome thinking, mind wise, as far as knowing your worth. And that goes well beyond the sponsorship thing.
It's a slippery slope, and you kind of have to live in the environment that you live in. And I hate it for the guys that are coming up now, because they want to default you to the buyers club. Hey, here's 50% off. Like, you're not on pro staff if they're giving you the shit for the same price they're selling it to the store for. Instead of doing that, go find a retail store that sells everything and say, hey, give me everything I want to fish with, and I can pick anything I want at your cost, and I'll promote all of it. And then eventually, when I prove my worth, then I can work with you. And then the stuff that you love, you can promote. A couple of years ago, I actually became friends with a guy who tried to shit on me in a YouTube comment. He goes, oh, yeah, I'd say that too if I was sponsored by him. I said, dude, I wrote a book about it. I've got the top 15 out of 20 kayak fishing tournaments that have ever happened. I've got over 1 million combined followers. Do you honestly think I couldn't get any kayak company I want to give me a kayak? So I'm not sponsored by I don't use people's products because they sponsor me. They sponsor me because I use their products. And all of these product whores that jump from ship to ship to ship to ship, you invalidate yourself to a certain extent. And the one thing that I'm the proudest of is that I feel like I've turned down more sponsorships than most people have gotten or will get. And that's not trying to sound conceited. It's just a fact. I told a company who wanted me to post a black square on Instagram to fuck off for 30 grand. I don't know many people at any socioeconomic level that have told somebody to F off for 30 grand. 30 grand that was in my hand. Like, I had it. It wasn't like a pie in the sky. Right. I told another company, I think you might be wearing their shirt. Oh no, you're wearing the Academy version, but the version that's after, I told them the same thing for like a lot more money. But then when I got to where I did a video about it, said I got fired. Really didn't get fired. I just did the video to say that, hey, it didn't work out. I told them to pack sand. I didn't want to promote their product anymore, or the fact that my belief system didn't align with theirs. But I didn't go out and jump in bed with another company and get their product and say, hey, remember last week when I was telling you to buy this because it was the greatest thing? Well, now I'm telling you to buy this because it's the greatest thing. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't. Like, if Wilderness Systems had not been jackasses when they were trying to sell themselves to Pelican International and cut my sponsorship in half, but it wanted me to do double, I would probably still be with Wilderness Systems Kayaks. But the opportunity came along for me to go work with a friend of mine who is Luther Cyphers, who owned Yak Attack and then was starting a kayak company. That was an opportunity to do something different. That was an opportunity to go build something and make something. I did the same thing with G. Loomis Shimano. I had an opportunity to go own my own rod company and, you know, flex my wing, spread my wings and try that game. And I learned a lot from it. I lost a lot from it, but then I came right back to G. Loomis Shimano, and I've experimented with some other stuff. But I use what I use, and with every sponsorship relationship that I ever start, I buy it first. So that way I can say I bought it first. And
absolutely.
And there's power in that. You know, there's power in not rattling a cup at a stop sign or holding up a little cardboard sign, we'll fish for 50% off. I've almost done that video so many times where I took a little piece of cardboard and wrote, we'll fish 50% off, and stood at a went and rolled around in the dirt and got looking homeless, and then went and stood at an intersection like this, because that's what fishermen are doing. And when there's thousands of fishermen that'll do that, why would anybody write you a check? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
But maybe they shouldn't. Maybe there is a hobbyist that is just converting in that little bit of work they're putting into it and whatever influence that they create to get a discount. And that's great. But don't call it pro staff. Call it discount buyers club. You know, call it what it is. You know, back in the day, a pro staff meant you were getting the product before anybody else, so you could test it, so you could give professional feedback because you were on the pro staff, and then you were able to give feedback. And when that product came out, you could feel proud of it because you helped develop it. You know, if the owner of the company doesn't know your name, you're not on the pro staff. Right. You said you were kind of pussyfooting around. I won't pussyfoot around. If the owner of the company doesn't know your name, you're not on the pro staff.
So let me ask this question real quick. So, because you're hitting right on a lot of the stuff that I've kind of felt or talked about with folks. So, a new person in fishing, we're gonna go kayak fishing. New person in kayak fishing, content creation specifically, or outside of content creation. What are those steps those guys should be looking to doing? Because I heard you mention it in the video. I'm going to let you expound on it. What should they be doing, creating content and or promoting themselves to get to that point where we're saying, hey, we're more than the buyers club. We're making ourselves valuable. And like I said, I know kind of, I've heard a little bit of what you thought about it in video, but I want to hear what you think, like what they should be doing.
Provide value. Provide value in both directions. If you can be the intersection of value that you provide to the consumer, there's really only three things. You're providing information, education, or entertainment. You can merge some of these things together, but there's only three types of content that matter. You're providing information. Information is something you came up with. Okay? You're providing information. You're a tip. Something that you've learned the hard way. You're providing education. Education, in my opinion, is you're regurgitating shit that you've heard from other people. It's common knowledge, but you're packaging it up to deliver it in a more concise way. Or entertainment. And if you can strike that balance of infotainment and edutainment, you're in the gold, right? My early years, before I got married, and this bitch told me, oh, you're the president of a company. You got to stop acting so goofy. I'm like, I acted goofy to get where I'm at. I got a character called Mo Bass that's got ragged ass teeth and a hair that people love. I don't take myself too seriously, but I listen to this bullshit to make the piece, and I got too serious. I combined that with becoming a tournament director, so now I'm the sheriff of kayak fishing instead of the funny guy, and I'm just moving back in that direction. I want to have fun. I want to be funny. I want to be entertaining. I want the natural me to come through, not the dick that's so frustrated because he's had to judge fish for 18 days and talk to 16 tourism bureaus and 37 sponsors, and you're so beat down all the time that some person asks you a question and you snap at them and you act like a jackass, or you ain't got time to talk to them because you're so busy. So provide value to the consumer. And if you provide value to the consumer, you will be providing value to the company. To this day, and I had this conversation with another pro 2 days ago where I broke it down. To this day, I will ask a company, what is your margins? And they were like, what? I'm like, what's your margin on your product? What does it cost you? And I had a company tell me, oh, I don't really feel like that's any of your business. And I said, then we can't do business. And they're like, what? I'm like, if I don't know how I'm measured, I can't know if I'm successful. And I can't know that you're going to know if I'm successful or not. And I'm not going to spend all this time, effort, and energy building your brand for you to not be able to evaluate whether or not our partnership was successful. Because I don't want you at the end of the year to say, well, I feel like, or none of that. Facts, not feelings. What are your margins? Okay, cool. So how many products can you manufacture in a year? This many. Okay, so the best case scenario is you can make this many widgets. You can make 1,000, and your margin's $2,000 or $200, right? 20,000 or 200,000, and your sponsorship is this. I need to provide you a 10x return on investment, so I got to sell you this much product. How are we going to figure that out? And they're literally like mind blown, because I run this shit like a business. I have a content creation strategy, a content creation schedule. I'll throw you a little pro juice in here. I got Easter eggs, man. I put content in content. And if you look at my content, I'm playing the fat redneck on TV, but I'm constantly thinking about the psychology of people, the psychology of selling, the psychology of how people consume stuff to give it to you. But in that video, there's 2 or 3 Easter eggs. The video might be about Dakota lithium batteries, but there's a Yak Attack Easter egg and a bona fide Easter egg in there. Because then you're going to ask me about, hey, what is that orange thing in the video? And then I answer, oh, and then I make that the next video. So it's bringing that consumer on that path with you, but you're also providing them value, right? If they step on the Easter egg and squish it, you either hit it wrong or it's not really an Easter egg because they didn't want to pick it up out of the grass. And if you can snowball your content, or if you can layer it properly, you're selling to people that don't know they're being sold to, because you're not selling to them. You're showing them what you use, why you use it, how you use it, and giving them a little bit of a better way of thinking about it. Does that make sense?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So I try to save people money instead of costing them money. Does that make sense?
Right. So since you're out of the tournament, as far as the director, or I guess however you ran it before, you're out of that. Are you doing anything in the market still with tournament as far as kayak tournaments type stuff? Is there anything you want to talk about with us that maybe people don't know about? Any kind of juice out there that we might see coming in the future? Or
I still run the biggest tournament series in the world. Right. This is the Kayak Bass Fishing Tournament Series.
There you go.
Chaos. And I've got little mini series everywhere. I've got little prize pools everywhere. I've got the Catch 22 challenge. Like when I'm talking to sponsors and I'm explaining to them, hey, look, I had 600 people enter this event last year. I had 39,000 fish entered in this event. I don't know if you know this or not, but that's the biggest kayak fishing tournament that was run last year. And oh, by the way, when so-and-so does a tournament and they run up to it for a week and they have it for a week and then it's over, nobody goes back and looks at that leaderboard. My leaderboard's up for a year. My leaderboard's getting XX number of views. My leaderboard's got clickable banners on it. My leaderboard's got this. I'll give you one that I'm running right now. So this series right here, hold on a second. The Torpedo Top 10, I started it off in January, and it's got hold on a second. I just got this deal at the Classic. I just walked in and said, this is what I want. He's like, done, because I showed him the numbers. I got Livingston on board as a sponsor for the Livingston leaderboard.
Okay.
This thing is still spinning, but once it finishes spinning, because I'm inside the camper and I got garbage. Almost 600 people. 597 people signed up with 39,000 entries. 39,000 entries with 1.3 million uniques checking that leaderboard last month.
Wow. So just because you're out of the one series doesn't mean you're out of the game. And you still got the biggest game in town. So that's
And
pretty
on top
cool.
of
That's
that,
pretty neat.
I'm building this to create the crescendo to the 10, which is the ultimate most elite event that we have in kayak fishing, where I take the top 10 from the Angler of the Year standing, let them fish for $10,000. We're doing $1,000 an hour instead of you get money based on where you finish, second, third, fourth. I'm shaking it up. So you get $1,000 every hour. And then based on the holdback from the challenge series, which is my other biggest series, that could get up to $50,000, $75,000, $100,000. So now you're fishing for $5,000 to $7,000 an hour, plus a $10,000 first place, plus $1,000 for making it in. I'll be honest, three out of my 7 10s, with only 10 people fishing it, no entry fee. I took care of their lodging, their meals, and everything. Had a higher payout than the Bassmaster Bass Nation Classic Kayak Series that they just paid out $52,000 for with a $400 entry fee. Again, I'm not throwing shade their way. What I'm saying is I did things differently. I actually invested in the sport. I'm going to get it back because I know how to pivot. But what I'm pivoting towards is creating the series that is the most rewarding for the most people, so that it attracts the people that are in it for various different reasons, so that no matter what reason you get into it for, you're satisfied. Because I'm not trying to force one product down your throat. I'm trying to give you the products that you look for. I'll give you another quick example. I created this like Yak Attack piggyback prize pack thing, right? And then because of that, I partnered with my buddy John from Missile Baits. So we're doing the Missile Baits mystery fish. There's no entry fee. You just got to be a KBF member. And once a week, I'm giving away a $50 gift card, and at the end of the month, a $100 gift card, and at the end of the year, a $1,000 Missile Baits shopping spree. And we've got 100, and we've had it up for 3 weeks. We got 197 entries, 136 entries, 877 fish in 3 weeks. So those are the kind of things that I'm doing to engage the community. And I can't tell you how many people message me and say, hey, man, I gave that Missile Baits thing a try to learn the app, to learn the thing. I kind of liked it, man. And I looked at the leaderboard. If I had been over in the other thing, I'd be right there in the mix. So I'm using that for them to get themselves the confidence to move up the food chain. We're going to grow the national championship back to what it used to be. We're going to grow the 10 to the biggest thing in kayak fishing, hands down. It's the most elite. It's the hardest gauntlet to run. You got to fish against people for 30 days a month for 10 months. Take your best 3. Then show up to one lake and fish against those same people for 1.5 points to end up in the top 10. And then you got to go fish against the top 10 baddest summitches in the country. That's the most elite event in kayak fishing. You can't convince me otherwise. Am I biased? I'm biased. But it is what it is.
Hey, sometimes yeah.
But my hyper focus is to focus on that. And so unlike an AOI race where the one person wins it and then you can't remember who was in 2nd through 10th, I made it to where the 10 mattered. So if you finish in the top 10, then you get that same amount of exposure. Because how many times can you look at an Angler of the Year race from any of the major series and it was a fish or two different, but the guy that won it got all the accolades and nobody even, remembers who was in 2nd. I want you to remember those top 10 guys, and I want them to go to that event where there's 10 people on the leaderboard and all 10 of them are up there the whole time. So you're seeing their face, you're seeing their name, you know what I'm saying? So in my opinion, what we've done at KBF is we've made the household names in kayak fishing. Some of those household names have gone on to other series and got accolades, but you pretty much knew their name already because of KBF. There's been some instances that didn't happen, but for the most part it has. So
I know we're winding down. I know we've got a little bit of a late start. We're right here at the end of the show, but I wanted to ask you, basically, I guess the last question: what positive growth or positive aspect are you seeing in the kayak fishing world? And I guess I asked that for a selfish reason because, again, I'm a boat guy, but I have looked hard at buying a kayak. Alex knows my wife's threatening to hit me in the head with something if I do it. I mean, but because I spent so much on my boat, but what positive things are you seeing in the kayak world that why I should go kayak? Not say kayak versus boat, because I don't want to get in that argument, but what about kayak fishing is that thing? Because I meet the kayak guys I meet, they're all about the kayak. And I was a boat guy because that's all I saw I had when I was a kid. You know, I had brother-in-laws. What about it that should draw somebody in to the kayak fishing world that says, hey, this is a great community to be in?
It's a camaraderie based community. I'm gonna give you an analogy. You ever seen two cars that are souped up going through town racing like idiots? You notice how they drive and act like idiots, and then when they get to the red lights, they're like, F you, no F you, right? Now, what do you see when you see motorcycle guys riding next to each other? They're giving the finger when they're going down. Hey, what's up?
Wave, yeah.
Holding up and falling in, and so to me, there's a collective camaraderie core thing. I fish in boats as well. Best thing in the world is a friend's boat. It's the best boat you can ever do. It's kind of like a free beer. The best beer in the world is a free one, right? So the best boat in the world is your buddy's boat. You can throw him some gas money. You can go fishing. He's got to pay
100%.
Yeah.
He's got to pay the insurance. He's got to clean that summit up. He's got to park it. He's got to do all that, right? But with a boat, every time I've ever been boat fishing, I'll be in the back of the boat because I don't own it. So at least I'm that guy. I'm sitting in the back. But the guy that owns the boat's like, this motherfucker, this dude better not be coming in on me. And it's like the whole thing. Kayak fishermen are like, hey, bro, any luck?
Yeah.
And then just come up and heel hook your boat. Put your foot on the boat, and you're sharing lures and handing like back. Hey, man, tell you what they're catching them on, where they're catching them on, invite you over. And that just doesn't happen, in my opinion, in any other aspect of our sport. Not fly fishing, not wade fishing, not boat fishing, I can't think of another version, and I've done it all. It's just a different mindset. It's a different, the closest two things that I can think of is bow hunting and motorcycle. Archery people kind of click together, whereas gun guys will shoot at each other, right? And then motorcycle clubs are kind of the way we are in kayak fishing. We're a little cliquey. We have our little silos, but for the most part, if we see each other on the road, we're like pulling up and not trying to be. We're just head nodding, you know what I mean, or finger waving. You know, the whole hey, what's up, man? So that's the big difference, in my opinion, is that it's just a better community feel. And what I really like about where we're trending is, even though, like that boat over your shoulder with the Bonafide XTR 130, I do think there is a big pendulum swing back to some lighter boats, some simpler boats, some engaging those end user consumers. And then what I really like about kayak fishing is we've got some very distinct vertical. Whereas a boat guy might be a river guy, a lake guy, this, that. You've got people in the kayak fishing community that are very secular, like I'm a river fisherman, but then they'll also do the other stuff. But you have that ability to do that. And a guy that's a river fisherman will invite a lake fisherman to go river fishing with him and show him the ropes, and vice versa. That shit don't happen in the boat world. It just doesn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
You know, some of it's equipment limitations, some of it's just mindset. But that's my favorite part about it, is the community part, the camaraderie part, and that's the part that I'm engaging and embracing. And the other trend that I love is that when KBF started, there was all of these massive trail events, and all of these people had to travel all over. And what I really love now is there's all of these little state and regional and interregional series and circuits where you can fish in your circuit, your two circuits can meet and do battles on the border. So we've really created a good infrastructure of opportunity. And that's my favorite part about what's going on with kayak fishing right now.
That's awesome. Well, as one last parting advice, what's any advice you give to a kayak fisherman? Best advice you can give them, starting out, veteran, whatever. What's a good piece of advice you give somebody? You
know, the old buy once, cry once thing. I really believe in that when it comes to your paddle, your PFD, and most of your accessories. Don't listen to this bullshit that all of these talking head YouTubers and professionals tell you, like, don't buy a cheap kayak, save up and get the best kayak that you can, blah, blah, blah. Get the kayak that you can go fishing in, whether it's on Marketplace. Don't buy a piece of shit one at Walmart, but don't wait until you got $5,000 to buy a Hobie or a Bonafide Pro, XTR or whatever, because there's one thing in your life, I don't give a flying flip how rich you are, you can't buy, and that is time. And if you wait 7 months to go fishing, you can't get those days you miss fishing back. You can't buy yesterday. There ain't no yesterday.com where you can go buy it back. So stop listening to this narrative that you got to save up for a pedal drive and you got to have a motor and you got to do this. Go buy a $800 to $1,200 kayak. Spend a little bit more money on your paddle, your PFD, and your gear, because you can move that with you when you upgrade to the next boat. Or maybe you're going to be happy in that boat. Don't buy a piece of shit. Because it'd be like buying hiking boots and going running and saying, man, I hate running. No, you just bought the wrong shoes. But don't buy into this narrative that you got to save up for this multi-$1,000 vessel to be a kayak fisherman. That's bullshit. Get a boat, get a float. They ain't going to kill you. And get out there and start making memories, start learning, start catching fish. Because again, yesterday.com doesn't exist and you can't buy it.
I like it. Like John G. Wilson says, wear your PFD. I don't care. Put your dang life jacket on. Wear it. There's no ego big enough that can bring you back.
Yeah, because there's 3 things that PFD can stand for. Personal flotation device. If you're not wearing it, it's pretty freaking dumb. And if you don't wear it when you need it, you're going to end up pretty freaking dead. So,
yep, there you go. Well, Chad, I appreciate you stopping by. We're going to let you get out of here. I know you're a busy man. We appreciate you stopping by and talking to us, and I thank you very much. And I look forward to looking at more of your content and stuff, because while I may be a boat guy, and kayaks got my eyes, and I like the tournament style stuff y'all got going on.
You can always do the deal where I take you kayak fishing and you just give me a spot in the back of the boat. I'll throw you some gas money, and you just have to go jump in the kayak.
Hey, there you go, man. I'll take you up on that. I got to get into it.
One last thing, question for you: What did you do in the Marine Corps? Because there's lots of different Marines.
Yeah, so my Marine, I joined in 2002. I was an avionics cryptographic technician, but I cross-trained into the electronic countermeasures, and I did that for most of my career in the Marine Corps. Joined to be a reservist, but spent most of my time activated and overseas. And then when they bracked the base over here in Atlanta, I went to Iraq with General Dynamics doing electronic countermeasures, vehicle-mounted stuff. So
you were in the Navy
while I was still in the Marine Corps, picking up rank. Yeah.
So you're in the Navy.
I worked on all the Navy. I worked on the Hueys and Cobras and all the Navy aircraft. Yeah.
Oh yeah. So, awesome, man.
I didn't do any floats. But yeah, man, I appreciate it. We're going to cut you out of here. I do. Thank you for stopping by, and I look forward to maybe making contact with you in the future, and we'll get that fishing trip lined up. I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Good luck with everything.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Chad.
Bye-bye.
See you guys. All right, everybody. That was Chad Hoover. We appreciate him stopping by, and that's pretty much the end of the show. I'm not going to make you guys hang out any longer. We appreciate everybody stopping by while we filled in for Danny. Hopefully we didn't do too bad. Hopefully it was a decent show, and everybody.
I think we did okay.
Yeah, but y'all go check out Chad's stuff on YouTube, his webpage. I did today. I got to learn a lot about him by looking at that stuff. We didn't get enough time. I think the last one I saw he was on, it was over a 2 hour long podcast. Maybe we're gonna have to make a part 2. So y'all make sure you go check him out and check out his story and all he talked about encompassing. We didn't even get to scratch really the surface tonight. I really wanted to go
even hardly
different directions with it, but I wanted to let him have time to speak because I know there's a lot of that stuff that plays on him. Derek, appreciate it. We also appreciate all the technical advisors in the comments tonight while we figure out the microphone deal. I don't know if it was this mic.
It was this one.
It was this one here was hot? Okay, so we had the mic next door to me that was really hot. We knew one of them was hot because we heard the truck drive by. So we apologize for that delay. And I know it's been 10 minutes over. Thank y'all for watching. We'll see you next time.